complaint to lodge. I have to lodge a complaint
With the lodge?
with this fucking state.
Oh.
When the hell is it going to be fall?
Yeah.
It's still like 97 degrees today or
I
something.
got in my car and it was just like, yeah, it's 103. I'm like, it can't be 103. and I think that was just my car being like, look, it's hot in here because you haven't turned the car on kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I was very confused because I could have sworn it was like 70 or something at one point,
Man,
not that long ago.
I swear it was 60. It was like in the 60s when I woke up this morning, and it's like 93 right now. And I'm just like, you motherfuckers! It's like a race to see if I lose my fucking mind or if it finally turns to not be balls hot.
I opened my closet, staring at all my jackets, just going, "Soon, my friends,
soon, my pretties."
But the problem is, it's so it keeps getting hotter again.
Yep.
Once I'm like, well, maybe I'll wear this one later, and it's like, no, it's like going to be like 95, and it's like 10 o'clock at night.
And now that I have my old man rant out of the way, it's time for the RageSelect podcast here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
And I'm like, and climate change is dumb.
Weird news, Michael. Weird news this week. Not a lot of news, and it's all very strange. So,
yes, very strange news. Believe it or not, Ripley's or whatever. I forgot what the time frame.
You missed the two unified podcasts. We had the,
I did.
Xbox and the State of Play, and now you're here for the potpourri. So.
Well, that's because the world tried to kill me last week.
That's true,
and that was fun.
Yeah.
Well, not the world. It turns out our visitors might have accidentally a chemical weapon me.
So
something.
I don't know about that. I don't know because Chris got there after they left, and he was feeling pretty bad last week too.
I don't know.
But
based on just the way the doctor was like, "Hey, you got the flu," but it's not really a local version of the flu, so we're not really sure where it came from.
How do they know that?
Because apparently, like the strains like involve like specific regions or something.
Okay,
and they're like, "Yeah, your flu is like."
Where was it from?
They didn't say. They were just like, "Did anybody come from like out of town?"
It was like Italian flu,
and they're just like, "This is just a non-local one," and since it's so early, it was the only one that came up. And I was like, "That's fucking weird."
I really prefer local free range viruses, Michael.
Yeah.
I don't like to, I like to ship those in from out of state.
See, it needs to be from the region of flu.
Yeah.
Or else it's just diet cold.
Yes. Yeah. So it is. It is weird. It is a weird news week.
Don't get the flu.
Before we get to that, so I have a little bit of a problem this week. So last week I had something good to talk about. The week before I had something good to talk about. Last week I watched that Beetlejuice. I didn't care for it. I don't want to go into it. I would have to spoil it to go into it. Didn't really care for it all that much.
That's pretty much what I explained last time, where I'm like, I want to say why certain my issues with it.
Yeah,
but we literally can't, or you spoil like 90% of the movie.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away from somebody who likes it. It didn't really do anything for me. I also watched that the new VHS, and that didn't really do much for me.
Beyond was what it was called.
Yeah, VHS Beyond. It was like most VHSs. Some were slightly better, some were slightly worse. They were all kind of mediocre.
Okay.
But I did watch one thing last week that was absolutely amazing, and I could give it unqualified recommendation, and it's available on multiple platforms.
Okay.
And that was episode 1 of the new anime Don Da Don.
Oh, okay.
Which Matt apparently told me is like nothing but Ultraman references, apparently. Like a lot of Ultraman references.
That makes sense.
In the first episode. But this is the one, I think that this has been on, if you're an anime person, it's been on the radar of a lot of anime folks for a while. But basically, like, the story of it is so it's the new one from Science Saru, and they're the ones who did the Godzilla
Singular Point.
I was gonna say turning point. That's not right.
The turning. Yeah, it was about the turning machine they made to fight Godzilla.
Talking about politics. No,
that's all. That's a lot of Godzilla moves, ironically.
So yeah, this is apparently based on like a really well beloved manga, and I don't want to go too far into it, but basically it's like there's like a guy and a girl, and the guy believes in UFOs but thinks that ghosts are stupid, and the girl believes in ghosts but thinks the UFOs are fucking ridiculous. Like her mom is a spirit medium, and the kid's like, or your grandma's a spirit medium. It's like, fuck your grandma. Like that's bullshit. You've never seen a ghost. Well, so they challenge each other in the first episode that the boy's going to go to this the tunnel like from
shows up in a lot of
Mob
different
Psycho
things,
that's got the ghost in it, right? The like blocked off tunnel through the mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's going to go there, and then the girl is going to go to this like abandoned high school where UFO abductions are supposed to have been seen a bunch, and they're doing like they're challenging each other to do it, and then wacky hijinks ensue. To say any more would be again to ruin it, even though it was so good. It was very well animated. It had a real kind of like kind of a silly Fooly Cooley almost style to it, where the characters would like kind of, they would turn into like different character models and stuff. But then when they were on point, they were really on point. There was some good action. There was some sleaze. It definitely had some cheesecake sleaze to it.
I saw some clips from one that I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But it was incredible. I fucking loved it. I thought it was great. Like by the end of it, I cared what happened to the first two characters. It was a really unique thing. I don't think I see that many aliens in anime, because alien anime tends to either be spaceship anime or like Sentai stuff.
Well, a lot of because there was a small time frame, a lot of people forget this, there's a small time frame where there were some animes that were about aliens, but they were rarely about like, action oriented type stuff.
Yeah.
They were usually like, guy works at office, he used to have a band, and a bunch of aliens somehow found out about the band, and they're like fans of him, like weird shit like that.
Yeah.
Like they were never just like, and then aliens attacked. It was usually like, well, demons attack or something. Then he's like, I'm the Demon King or some shit.
Right.
It was rarely like an alien related type thing, and if it was always a what's the word? Like a hijinksy or reasons for it. Like
it was more comedy.
Yeah, it was a comedic reason. Like one of the instances I think of is, do you ever hear of the anime Sergeant Frog?
No.
There's an anime called Sergeant Frog where it's about these little aliens that look like tiny frog people, and they just live with like these people, and one of them's obsessed with Gundam and is like addicted to buying Gundam models and shit like that. And it's just this little funny like comedy show about different, like each alien has like a different personality.
Okay.
And so they all just like live with these like this like family, and it's just really dumb.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I mean, I know there's some out there. I guess it's just it's not been a thing. It hasn't come through in a lot of the more high profile stuff.
No,
especially recently.
Well, that's what I mean though, because like a lot of the reasons for that is because they're rarely shonen related.
Yeah.
Because they're usually wackier, or they're in space, like you said.
Yeah.
Like Gundams and stuff like that.
But no, this was really good. And you know what the weirdest thing about it though is, I don't know what kind of fucking licensing deal happened, but it's on Crunchyroll and Netflix simultaneously.
That is interesting.
It's releasing on both of those platforms simultaneously. Now, I haven't watched the second episode, and we all know what happened to Uzumaki. If you don't know what happened to Uzumaki, you go look what happened to Uzumaki. But like
Uzumaki, that's an example of like, what the fuck.
But the first episode was absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping that it's going to be like, my new thing, because this season, like, Blue Lock is coming back. Then there's always the stuff that's coming back, but I'm always on the lookout for like the new cool thing. And the first episode, at least, of Don Don was like really, really striking. Like, it was really good. I really liked it a bit.
Yeah, everybody I know said it's great. I had one friend, he it turns out, I didn't know this at the time, there was theatrical screenings of the first 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
And he went to go watch it, and I remember telling you that after I saw him, that he's like, oh, it was just like phenomenal. And there was like some stuff with there was some interview stuff afterwards with the I think it was the creative director or something like that. And he was talking about how he was obsessed with film when he was growing up, and he used to draw storyboards of movies, like just things he saw. So he carried a lot of that like bombastic storyboard ideas into his work, which is one of the reasons that my friend thinks is the reason that show probably is like as bombastic as it is.
Yeah, it's very dynamic. It's very well animated, and it had like great timing, and it fit so much into 22 minutes. It was just like amazing. So, which is great because last season everybody kept telling me how good Suicide Squad Isekai was, and I kept trying to watch it, and I was like, I don't think this is very good.
You don't like watching Amanda Waller dance for 30 seconds?
No. End credits are amazing. That is amazing, but the actual show itself, I was like,
I didn't hear anything about that show. It came and went. Really.
Yeah. I mean, outside of the normal stuff that I watched last season, I think that Not Allowed in Another World was also a really good one, where it was about a guy that was trying to die. And before he can, I don't know what the YouTube code words are. I don't do the code words thing.
It's unalive or whatever.
Before he can unalive himself, the isekai truck hits him and sends him to the fantasy world. And he's a depressed artist from like the 1930s. He was like a very popular actual character in Japan.
Okay.
And he goes to the other world and he just keeps trying to die. And so the world doesn't know what to do with this because every time a monster comes up, he just like runs up to them and is like, thank you. Finally, and they're just like, ew, gross, get away from me.
You made it weird, dude.
You made it real weird. So that was really good. But yeah, I'm hoping that this one. I'm glad to hear that at least those 3 episodes they got such a good run. Can't wait to watch the second one this week. Yeah, because those fuckers are. I gotta wait till next year for the end of My Hero Academia, even though I'm like, no, not now. We're in the middle of all the action. It's all happening right now.
I remember you telling me that, and I was like, oh, that sucks.
Anyway, before we get to the news, Michael, what about you? Have you watched anything? You played anything? Done anything?
I started Alan Wake 2 finally.
Okay.
I finally saw because there was a conversation me and Jeff had a long time ago before I finally started the game, where we were talking about Alex Casey, James McCaffrey's character. And you were like, well, it's very obvious that he's supposed to be Max Payne. And I was just like, I don't know what you mean by that. And then I played and I'm like, this motherfucker was clearly straight up Max. Because there's a point where you see like the character version of Alex Casey.
Yeah.
And he's just wearing his Max Payne 2 outfit. Yep. But the only difference is the tie is blue instead of green.
Yep.
And I'm like, God damn it.
and then you hook up. I'm sorry. There's some minor spoilers in here, but like I'm not going to go into. I mean, I couldn't spoil the plot of Alan Wake 2 unless you were willing to sit here for 2 hours.
Yeah. Even if I explained exactly what part I'm in, like in detail, to the people who've never played it, you would be like, none of that made what you said make sense.
And then Tim Breaker is in there.
Yeah, there's Tim.
Tim Breaker from Quantum Break.
There's a lot of weird shit that goes on. And then, you're just like, you're supposed to be this person, I assume.
And then you know that Mr. Door was supposed to be played by Lance Reddick before he died.
Yeah,
from Quantum Break
adds a lot of implication because you never played Quantum Break.
I didn't,
which is the reason why to me it's much more of a big deal because I did play Quantum Break.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there going like, so how does this connect to that? Because I still have a lot of questions because there's a lot of questions that were never answered at the end of Quantum Break involving Lance Reddick's character.
Yeah.
In a way that I was just like, but I need to know. But this game didn't sell well at the time, so I don't know if I'll ever find out. And now I'm playing this, and I'm like, will I find out? I hope I do.
So the question on everybody's mind, Michael, is you started playing Alan Wake 2, and then Dragon Ball Sparking Zero came out.
It came out, yeah.
Will you finish, or should we all just put down our bets? Put your bets in the comment section. 1, will Michael finish Alan Wake 2? If so, what date will he finish Alan Wake 2?
That's the actual answer. That's the actual question. Because here's the deal, guys. The reason I didn't finish Alan Wake 2 because I planned on doing it. I planned on trying to beat it before Dragon Ball came out.
Yeah,
is because I got a flu that kicked my ass for 5 days straight.
Yep.
And I literally couldn't do anything.
Yep.
In fact, I played Alan Wake 2 for like 2 hours after I got it. Like on like Friday, I think.
That's no good. Alan Wake just comes up and jump scare screams in your face.
Which is why I stopped. Which is why I stopped pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because one, I couldn't focus and I kept dying on one part of it. And I was just like, I'm too fucked up for this. Mm-hmm. And so I stopped. And then finally I was like, okay, now that I feel better, I'm going to play Alan Wake until Dragon Ball comes out.
Right.
Not realizing that the early access started on Monday and not Tuesday. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm playing Dragon Ball right after work.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And that's all I've been playing.
See my quest, my Sophie's choice at this point is I end up playing the demo for that Metaphor ReFantasio.
Okay.
And I really liked it and I want to keep playing it, but it was a demo, so it cut off, right? So but then I've been just kind of slogging through Silent Hill 2 because Silent Hill 2 is not exactly the hardest game in the world.
No.
You just kind of run through buildings and hit guys with a stick. And the question I have for myself is, can I finish Silent Hill 2 today after we are done with this before tomorrow when Metaphor ReFantazio comes out?
No,
so,
it's the hardest thing about being a gamer is being like, well, I really like this one game, but I feel like I should maybe finish this other game before I do it. And Alan Wake 2, unfortunately, bad things stopped me from doing it.
Yeah.
But now I have the Sophie's choice of, do I finish a lot of the story mode stuff for Dragon Ball, or do I go straight back into Alan Wake when I get a chance? Because now I'm going to tell you guys I have a new TV.
Yeah.
Which means I want to see what Alan Wake looks like on it.
You got a big fuck off TV.
I can't. I'm scared about getting jump scared on a 75-inch television because I didn't think about that until this very moment.
I think it's more the surround sound system. I think.
I don't have a surround sound.
Yeah, depending on your audio system, I think that's really the big part.
I was doing the headphone.
Oh,
way.
you're fucked.
And so
you're fucked.
It was scaring the shit out of me because there was one part of the game where I kept going, there's something behind me because of the way the 3D audio worked.
Yeah.
But I can't see it. And I keep trying to figure out where it is.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was this, this isn't a spoiler because there's just, a wolf in the fucking woods. And it turns out the wolf was just been running in a circle, and that's why I kept freaking out trying to figure out where the fuck it was.
Oh, yeah.
Because I couldn't see it because it was so fast.
Fuck those wolves. Fuck them wolves.
Yeah, those wolves sucked.
Well, speaking of the woods, by the way, I am serious. You put your predictions for when Michael's going to fish Alan Wake 2 down in the comments.
Yeah, let me know.
I'm not just saying that for engagement. I just want to know how. I want to know how accurate. I want an assessment of how the fans of RageSelect think.
I still haven't even gotten to my annual rewatch of Ghostbusters yet. My October did not go how I planned it.
Well, man, we're only in week 1.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I walked into October going, I have all these ideas.
Yeah,
and the flu was like, the fuck you do.
Yeah,
and the whole thing got derailed.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting derailed, let me derail this podcast and let's talk about video games. Wait, that wasn't even right. Anyway, Halo.
Caught me off guard.
Halo time. It's Halo time, baby.
Yeah, it is.
This is the big thing from this week. So we got a 6-minute video from Halo called A New Dawn for the newly christened Halo Studios. 343 is no more. Dump out Acid or whatever, because everybody kind of hated 343, I think. But
what happened was that 343 became synonymous with bad versions of Halo.
Yeah,
because nothing was happening, and as far as I heard, it was so poorly managed at that point that this is a very good thing that's happening right now.
So, I mean, this is a video game. This is an early game video, which means that we're going to have a lot of video of people sitting around in offices and talking about how awesome everything is.
Yeah. There's a lot of videos of people in a meeting going, yeah.
That sounds great. That sounds great. People with screens in front of them. We'll show a picture of somebody with a Cintiq, drawing on the Cintiq, but we can't actually see what's on it, or maybe a 3D model being rotated a little bit. Anyway, so Halo is moving to the Unreal Engine, which I have a lot of thoughts about. They showed off 3 environments. Along with a few character models. They had a kind of a foresty environment. They had a snow, rocky snow kind of area, and then this kind of infested with the, what do they call them? The bleed, the hive, the flood kind of area. And then they had some kind of character models for it. So, yeah, so that's what happened. We saw
a tricky one,
some stills of Master Chief. And some Covenant peeps, and then some kind of camera pushes through these environments. Tell you what, why don't I start with you, Michael? You're a big Halo fan. I don't care as much about Halo. Let me get your first impressions. What did you think when you saw all this?
Well, the thing is that at first I wasn't sure what I would think, but then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, I think this is a great thing to do with Halo, and I don't mean just the Unreal thing. I mean to rework the entire studio because
Yeah.
again, 343 was so poorly managed that a lot of people were having issues, and it was one of the reasons Infinite came out the way it did.
Right.
Because no one could come up with what they wanted to do with Infinite.
Yeah.
And it shows when you play the story mode for Infinite, because you're just like, and then this happened, and then that happened. And you're like, none of this is like flowing well the way it's supposed to, especially for a game like Halo. Because even the ones that like weren't good, at least those stories flowed the way you can tell they were intended to. This one was just like, you remember the ending of the last one? Yada, 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 now we're here. Like, what about all the yada, yada? Like, you yada, yada over the entire thing that I wanted to know about.
I mentioned the multiplayer.
Don't worry about it, bro. And you're just like, what the fuck? And then the multiplayer was fine, but the problem was that it was obvious that their engine they were using was not working for them because they were not coming out with the content as fast as they wanted to.
Sure.
And there was the point where they're like, well, we made all these armor pieces, but they don't fit on everything else. It's like, well, why would you design something like that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's obvious that, like, none of it, like, everything was just so mismanaged. And so doing this is a great idea because from what I hear, they fired a lot of that management.
Yeah. That's good.
And a lot of other people and are starting fresh. And the Unreal Engine thing, I'm a little iffy on, not because I don't think Unreal is not a good engine. It's because Unreal games can kind of look samey, depending on what you do with it.
Yes, and
a lot of the art direction involving Halo was never designed to be super ultra realistic,
right?
And so sometimes I remember that was my issue when Halo went from Bungie to 343 is because for some reason 343 was like, everything's going to look like kind of realistic now. And so Master Chief had this weird fucking set of armor that like in Halo 4 and 5 that just was just like this weird like overly realistically like designed thing. And then Infinite was like, well, we want to make it look the way it did before. And then I was like, that's the first time I've liked the way it looked in a long time.
Yeah.
So as long as they try to keep that middle ground of like, this is still a fantastical world. Like, sure, there's some realistic stuff to it, but you're still in a world fighting aliens with laser swords and shit.
Sure.
Like, so just be careful, really, with how far you go. Because Unreal is still something that you can still do all of the fun things with, but you have to be willing to do them.
Yeah. So, part of it, I think that part of the reason that this maybe doesn't hit for me as much, and I thought about it because I watched it and I was kind of like, whatever. But part of the reason that I think it didn't hit very well for me was because when you look at Halo, a lot of Halo maps are basically like a generic outside with a skybox that has the ring going off in the distance.
Yeah.
And then like some kind of blocky alien base in the distance. And then the guys there. Well, the problem is that all of the they only did environments. So they created a forest with a waterfall, and they created rocks with snow on them, and that is the majority of what they show in here. Even the flood part is kind of like, it's just like bio sticky, like big thingies. So the problem that I'm having is it's hard for me to know whether this is Halo because I need to see it full of the vehicles and the bases and the Marines and the Covenant and the brutes and stuff, because that is what makes Halo Halo. There are plenty of parts where if you told me that these renders were from Halo Infinite, I wouldn't be able to tell you that you were wrong, because at the end of the day, like Master Chief's armor, I'm not going to say it doesn't have like a style to it. It does, but it's still just like Space Marine armor. It's not exactly like, Warhammer 40K Space Marine armor where you can tell.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Like it
they were never designed to be like overly artistic.
Right.
It's not it's the difference between Judge Dredd and RoboCop, basically.
Right. Yes.
Like,
yes.
They're the same fucking character in many ways, but one of them is clearly like way more artistically designed than the other one.
Yes. So, it's hard for me to evaluate, especially because, again, there was a lot of, in the talking about this, this is not a new game. This is just like them fucking around with the software and getting assets into it and building some stuff just to kind of see how it goes. This was probably came from, we had a story like a year ago where this was happening inside of 343. There was like one guy that really was like pushing them to switch to Unreal over their custom engine, because their custom engine had been kludged together with like 25 years worth of fucking band-aids and spit and didn't work anymore.
And it just was like, there's a lot that just wasn't working with it. And right now the rumor is that with everything that's going on, especially with stuff that they've shown off, is that maybe they're going to remaster another game.
Yes.
Like or reboot it. We're not really sure yet. We're waiting at this point to see what the next step is, because the other reason people think it might be a reboot is every render of Master Chief is his armor from part 1.
Right.
And not his, like, you know, the armor he wore from 2 and above.
I can't tell the difference, you guys.
The difference
they all
is
look the same to me.
The easiest way of telling the difference is the helmet, specifically.
They all look the same. It looks like a guy wearing a baseball cap with mirrored sunglasses.
That's the thing, though. That's the first one looks more like a cap, and the second one does not. So
I don't care.
I can literally point it out in this video.
No, that's quite all right. I trust you. I just care. I don't care to learn the difference. It's all the green guy with the thing.
But that's the main reason why people are curious, are having that idea.
Yeah,
because why render the original armor and not his, you know, the armor he wore for like 90% of the series,
right?
Kind of thing.
The other thing I worry about though is that using Unreal Engine 5 will be too much of a crutch because of how much Unreal Engine 5 does.
Yes,
that it will like let Microsoft. This could be because I'm reading that fucking Play Nice book about Blizzard, but that Microsoft will, like, you know, they've already cut this team, right? And now they're going to a pre-built engine where they don't have an engine team, they don't have to do that stuff. They've got the Unreal Engine 5, so they can more focus on just cranking out assets. That the work that you mentioned before that needs to be done to give the game its own visual identity won't be done, and it'll end up looking like this demo, which is fine looking. But Unreal Engine, you are correct in that there are a lot of Unreal Engine 5, and this was true of Unreal Engine 3 as well.
Yes,
there were a lot of times where you could just tell when a game is just Unreal Engine, like they're using the character designer, they're using like the world designer, they're using the forest designer, they're using the particle stuff.
Games
like,
that you looked at and you're like, this has that exact same sheen.
Yes,
every other Unreal Engine game had at that time.
So I worry a little bit about that. But on the other hand, but the other thing for me is that I got no skin in this game because I wasn't able to play the first Halos when they were like super big, and by the time I got to play them, I was like, "What? There's like a million." It's like when I went to go play Ocarina of Time, and I'm like, I understand why this was considered very important when it came out, but I'm an adult. Like, this isn't a formative game for me, and I have no nostalgia to make me want to go back and play it.
Well, not only that, by the time, because I was the same thing, because I didn't grow up on a N64.
Yeah.
By the time I played of Ocarina of Time, we were already at like fucking Skyward Sword or something at that point.
Yeah,
like
Wind Waker.
We were fucking decades past what that game was like innovative for.
Yeah. So I do hope that the switch to this engine doesn't allow them to rest in their laurels. I'll be honest with you though, the thing is that the combat in Halo has always been relatively fun for me. The problem has just been I think it's had really bad writing over the last several increments, or at least it's had writing that didn't draw me in. I think I played all the way through 4 and 5, and then when I got to Infinite, I was like, I'm fucking tired of this. Like,
it was not very well written at all.
The thing about 4 and 5 was that when I went back and like they had all the the ancients or the precursors or whatever
I forgot what they're called.
Whatever the old, that they come back,
I think they're
right?
just
They got all the triangles that turn into stuff and the bots and stuff. And then, like, one day, I think I was reading a wiki or you were telling me about the lore of it, and I was like, oh, that's all really interesting science fiction writing that is 100% not in this fucking video game.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't remember what it was because I remember you being like, how come this didn't happen? And then I explained it, and you're like, well, that's really interesting. But where was it?
Right. But I just got fucking Master Chief. I got Power Armor Incel and his fucked up AI girlfriend over here arguing about whether they could beat the Zerg, and I'm like, no, tell me that good story about the cool stuff.
That is that has been one of the major issues since Bungie's has left Halo, and even when Bungie was making Halo, because they were like they had hired a bunch of people to write these really interesting novels, that it turns out if you read them had major implications of stuff that happened in the games, that you're just like, but where was this stuff when I played the game?
Right.
And there was some of it was in there but there were like secret things you could find,
or like logs you had to read, or codex entries,
and by then you're just like, but like I kind of wish I would have known more of this stuff ahead. Like it was one of the reasons why a movie or a show I think still can work, because there actually is lore you can use from all that stuff.
Yeah.
But but if you've never read those books, you have zero ways of finding out all that stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, oh boy, we're already done most of the podcast with this.
I'm surprised how much we have to say about this.
Let's see. I put this in here. IGN put out this thing that was like, oh, Halo 3 versus Halo 5 comparison. And it's like, so we found some water in Halo 3, and then we showed the promo water from Halo, the Unreal Engine 5. And it's like, yeah, but that's also fucking Halo 3. You're like comparing like an Xbox 360 game to Unreal Engine 5. Like, I don't.
That's literally what because people started realizing that a lot of the maps they're showing might be like remakes of just Halo 3 maps.
Right.
Which is why they did it. But again, you're like, it's a 360 game. If you were showing me the difference between Infinite and them, then fine.
Yeah.
But this is like being like, look how different Metal Gear Solid 2 is from Metal Gear Solid 1. You're like, of course it is. What is wrong with you?
Right. Anyway, let's see. From there, we got there was also an interesting. This is from a Digital Foundry talking to Eurogamer. Did put forth kind of an interesting idea, which is that the next Halo game being on the Unreal Engine 5 would make it very easy to put out on the PlayStation. And since we're already seeing Indiana Jones on the PlayStation, and Microsoft is like, fuck, we got to recoup the $69 billion. Who let me spend $69 billion? It was a joke. It was a joke.
It was the equivalent of like when a guy have you ever heard the stories when somebody finds a house and I put in like a joke bit of like 100,000 lower as like a gag, and then they accepted, and then I was like, oh fuck.
So there's a good chance that we may be, because Halo's never been on the PlayStation. It's been on the PC, it's been on the Xbox, but it's never been on the PlayStation. And there's a good chance that if they're using UE5, that engine jams on the PlayStation. Microsoft wants fucking money. They don't give a shit, apparently, if you stop buying Xboxes, because they have made zero effort to try to get you to buy Xboxes over the last 5 years. So there's a very good chance that we could see whatever this new Halo is.
That would be so funny.
On the PlayStation. What do you think about the new logo? I think about all the colored-in logo.
It was fine.
The new thing.
It wasn't like it could change before a game finally comes out.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I think they needed to go with the Street Fighter spray paint logo.
I would have been fine with that. They had big old Halo and the really weird stylistic look,
like graffiti style. Let's see. Speaking of Unreal, there was some interesting stuff that kind of came out of the Unreal. Had a big festival thing last week that was in Seattle. Talked about it on last week's show. They showed a bunch of stuff. Did you see the Ninja Turtles thing for Unreal?
No, I meant to, but I never got a chance to go back for it.
They added a bunch of new things to the Fortnite creation engine, and a lot of them were geared to let you make brawlers and beat 'em ups, and then to encourage people to do that, they put this huge pack of free everything Ninja Turtle, Foot Clan guys, Terrordrome, fucking like city streets, and you could just make your own Ninja Turtle worlds in Unreal. And I was like, I think Michael wants to do that.
I want to see that. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
But one of the things that they talked about a little bit was Unreal Engine 6. You say, wait,
already?
What? Yeah, that was kind of my first thought, but apparently Unreal Engine 6 is not like the engine. Unreal Engine 6 is the idea of their metaverse idea. So like one of the things they talked about was they merged 3 or 4 of their stores into one new storefront. They talked about being able to put assets on that storefront that will work in like the Unreal Engine or like Minecraft or like Lego or like a whole bunch of other places. So the idea is basically to merge together hooks for Unreal Engine, like, what is the best way to describe this? Like direct pipelines to other studios, games, and properties that are within the Unreal marketplace. So like you could buy an asset in the marketplace that can be used in a lot of different places.
It's to make everything more unified across even different types of art styles.
You know what it is? It's NFTs without the blockchain.
Yeah.
It's just NFTs.
The thing is, I wanted to say that, but I wasn't sure if that was a way of explaining it that wouldn't anger everybody the second I said it.
Yes.
Because it was the first time I'd ever heard somebody say something out loud that I was like, that is the thing that all the people about NFTs were saying should be doable.
Right.
But the thing is, this is the reason why it wasn't doable before, because there was nothing in existence that would have made that possible.
Yes.
Except for this idea.
Yes. And a lot of that becomes like... So I think that part of that idea too is what? It's integrating the Unreal Engine with Fortnite. It's integrating all of that stuff with their store. And then I think that a lot of what they're thinking about is the ability to pull other games closer to the Fortnite ecosystem so that like Fortnite itself isn't just like the battle royale game. It's the whole experience, their whole metaverse basically.
Well, yeah, that was
that oozes into other stuff.
That's what I was going to say is that you saying the metaverse thing, they want it to be the realization of what the metaverse has been sold as for a long time, which is it's a hub where people can hang out and do a bunch of different things within this one area. Yeah, essentially, and by that I mean like I don't mean like literally one area, but I mean like one specific killer app is the synergy term of that people will be using, right? And so that's what they're. But the thing is that if anyone can pull that off at the moment, it is them. Yes, because Fortnite has already proven that they've already done something like that, which is that Fortnite has Fortnite, of course. It's got a Lego mode, it's got a racing mode, and it's got a Rock Band mode, and those are all completely different fucking games. Yes, jammed into one little thing, and all that is just do that, but bigger than anybody's ever tried. But then what's also interesting is that Unreal Engine 5 is being adopted by so many game companies as the engine to run on the current hardware set. But then also, I keep forgetting this, but like, you know, a lot of movie studios are using UE5 for special effects or that like big LED wall digital background replacement stuff where instead of having a green screen, you just put a giant screen and then you put Unreal graphics on the screen and then you just blur it out a little bit in the background. It looks like a character's walking through a forest or whatever, like pull a crunch there. So there's actually a pretty good chance that this could happen. And I don't know how I feel about that because I think that Unreal is a relatively ethical actor. I want to repeat that. I think that Epic Games is a relatively ethical actor in the games and entertainment space, mostly because they're an outsider that's still shoving themselves into fucking every nook and cranny. So they're not like, I think that they're still working on that, like, well, we have all this momentum and we need to use it, but then they keep using it in interesting ways, like fucking being a special effects engine, right? Like, you know, EA isn't licensing Frostbite to Disney for the next live action fucking Jungle Book movie. Yeah, they've done something that so many other companies have only dreamed of doing, which is having having a game that gave them so much money that they were able to just get into fights with Apple and shit like that. Yes. And to the point, like you said, they made a huge billions-dollar deal with Disney to make to do this metaverse thing to begin with. Yep. That's already a huge thing to begin with. And the fact that they are as the closest I feel like anybody's been to, and I do realize what I'm saying, to the Ready Player One metaverse type thing. And I don't even mean that in the fact that the idea of it, but the fact that they've already have great relationships with a bunch of IP holders. Like, this is like, you guys don't understand how big this could be if done right, and I think that's kind of amazing.
Yes. Now, let's shift gears and go to the dark side.
Well, first you got to drive reverse first, so you can get that Easter egg.
That's right.
To win the Epic Games or whatever.
So this is good. This is a good segue, Grist, for me, because you say that, and I think that it's interesting when people listen to it. I'm like, you guys remember, right, that Ready Player One sucks assholes, like the book does, the movie does, the world it's in does. Not even it's a post-apocalyptic thing. Not even that the main guy is some fucking virgin incel bullshit D&D nerd. I say that as a virgin incel D&D nerd myself.
Oh, yeah, we're those guys. So yeah.
But when you look at you look at the Oasis, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that.
No, Oasis is actually a hellhole.
That's dick. What, it's just like, oh, everybody, you have to play video games with everybody all the time in VR. Thank you very much. I have several VR headsets, and I don't even play them, even though I've spent hundreds of dollars on them. And I have the ability to play video games with anybody in the world and stay connected. And I forcefully remove myself from that and be like, no, that's okay. I'm just gonna go play fucking Armored Core 6 for an 8th time. I don't want anything to do with it.
What if you played Armored 6 in a room full of thousands of jokers?
It's like, yeah, well, what if you don't you want to play Armored Core 6 online? I'm like, no, it's already online and I don't play it. I'm like, well, don't you want to play it with your friends? I'm like, no, they don't want to play it. I don't want to have to fucking ask my friends to play Armored Core 6. It's like, well, what if you can play Fortnite with an Armored Core 6 skin? I'd be like, that's stupid. Armored Cores are the size of a building, and the fucking Mrs. Incredible is the size of a person. That's dumb. Because part of this was also talking about what's going to happen once you have Disney characters that start to enter this metaverse, and this is where you have to put your foot down, because what they said was well, not all characters will be able to do all things. We want the corporate IP holders to be able to choose what happens. They're like, Lego guys' hands don't come with guns by default. And I'm like, yeah, but you put guns in Lego guys' hands.
Yeah, you made the guns for us.
They basically just were saying, okay, so we're going to put a Mickey Mouse skin into the metaverse. Well, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to take that Mickey Mouse skin into Fortnite and shoot your friends in the face with a machine gun. And I'm like, okay there, buddy, back it up. Because now, again, you're describing the Oasis bullshit. This isn't like your freewheeling internet where you're just downloading Gary's Mod, you're putting Mario and fucking Mickey Mouse are having a goddamn sex party in the Matrix, right? This is oh no, our corporate overlords would like to sell you everything inside of one app because they're lazy and they don't want to have multiple apps. They want you to log into one thing and spend all of your time there doing the one thing they want you to do, which is spend money on microtransactions. No thank you, baby.
But what if you had a suit that had enough feedback where you were having sex with Mickey Mouse, Jeff?
Nope. Not interested. Not interested. I know what haptic feedback is like, and I can't imagine it being that good.
It would not be great.
Look, Michael, I've been on the internet to see a lot of advertisements for a lot of things with gears and silicone that want me to put the most sensitive part of my body inside a tube full of mystery parts that promise me that my dick will not be ripped off at the end of the process, and I do not believe them.
Or your money back.
I do not believe them. I believe they are lying. So, and I think that Tim Sweeney is lying too. Well, I don't think he's lying. I think he's telling the truth.
I think he's just very ambitious.
I think that anybody who wants to live in the world of Ready Player One is goddamn deluding themselves, because that doesn't sound like a good world to live in for me.
It's that meme where finally we made the super evil death machine from Do Not Make the Evil Death Machine book.
right. So yeah. And then I tell you what, let's wrap it up before we take a break. There was okay. Two quick stories. One, so Earth Defense Force 6 came out, and it had an Epic. You had to log into the Epic game. You had to log into your Epic Game Store account in order to play online with your friends.
Yeah, but the headline that you're saying says if you have it on Steam.
Yes, no, on Steam. On Steam. No, when you bought the Steam version, you had to log into your Epic account in order to play multiplayer, because it had crossplay with people who bought it on Epic.
I see.
And Epic shoehorned that shit in, and Earth Defense Force 6 did not have a very good score on Steam, because you know how Steam people feel about being forced to log into anything that is not Steam.
No, if you know Steam people, not just about Epic, but like this doesn't work for the Sony as well.
Yep.
Like, but then you decided to bring in their arch enemy.
Yep,
that was a terrible idea from the get go.
Yep. But that's been taken out, and they basically came out and like kind of apologized.
This is like asking Dr. Doom to work with Reed Richards, guys. I'm sorry. That was a bad idea.
They basically said that, like, if you want to play with people that are on the Epic store, you will have to log into you'll have to create an Epic account in order to do that.
Oh, okay.
But if not, you can still play with your friends without doing that. And Michael, I just feel like I need to get the executives and be like, guys, nobody wants to make an account, and we're so sick of making an account that we'll actually decide not to have fun with the thing that you're offering us in order to not have to make an account.
We will just not buy the thing.
Yes.
Like, it's easier than making another account.
Yes.
And having a whole new set of passwords you have to memorize.
You look at, like, I mean, not to bag too hard on Epic, but like Alan Wake 2 launched as an Epic Game Store exclusive, and like it didn't make its money back until like it dropped on Steam or whatever. Like,
exactly. And it keeps happening.
It keeps happening. People will not buy a brand new video game because it's on Epic Game Store. People will attempt to refund a game they really like because you add the requirement they have to log into a PSN account. It doesn't matter if it's free. It doesn't matter if it's easy. It just doesn't fucking matter. Like, and y'all need to start understanding that, because this is stupid.
No, completely stupid. I get the reason why some of them exist, because, like you said, some of them or crossplay reasons, I can kind of get those.
Yeah.
But if your reason is just you can only do the online if you do this one thing, then you're dumb.
Yeah. Well, but then you've got what was the last Sony game that came out? God of War Ragnarok.
God of War Ragnarok,
where there was no online,
yeah,
but you still had to log in, and people were like, "Why?"
Yeah, because Ghost of Tsushima had it, but it was for the online mode.
Yes. Yep. You know what? And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we will continue. I got a couple more epic stories left to go. Not like really fantastic stories, but like stories about epic games.
Yeah.
So stick around, and we'll be right back. And we're back. And I promise more epic news, and more epic news shall be delivered.
But again, this is the company Epic.
The company, yes, the company Epic. Not like Conan
Loot.
the Barbarian or anything.
Yeah.
So last week, we had a story about how Epic was taking Samsung to court for basically like intruding on them, or like putting up a bunch of roadblocks to let them put a third-party store on Google.
Yeah.
Well, this week we got a final ruling on Epic versus Google that was just about like the ability for third parties to put an app store on an Android platform, and it did not go Google's way.
That's surprising, like legitimately.
Yeah. So for 3 years, these are things that Google must do. One, stop requiring Google Play billing for apps distributed on the Google Play Store. So you can pay people without going through the billing on the Google Store.
That's amazing.
2, let Android developers tell users about other ways to pay from within the Google Play Store, so you can't block them from doing that. 3, let Android developers link to ways to download their apps outside of the Play Store.
No.
And 4, let Android developers set their own prices for apps irrespective of Play billing.
That's kind of insane.
It is.
The last one.
And then also, Google cannot, 1, share app revenue with any person or entity that distributes Android apps, unquote, or plan to launch an app or app platform. So they can't do like revenue sharing. 2, offer developers money or perks to launch their apps on the Play Store exclusively or first. 3, offer developers money or perks not to launch their apps on rival stores. 4, offer device makers or carriers money or perks to pre-install the Play Store. And 5, offer device makers or carriers money or perks not to pre-install rival store fronts.
Wow.
I'm having a little bit of trouble with this because, like, this is all great, and this is one of the reasons why I said before that Epic is a relatively, like, ethical company, because, like, they were willing to go to court over this shit, and they won, and, like, this is huge. This is
massive.
Gigantic, right? This is like a judge telling Sony that they have to allow other stores on their PS5.
Yeah.
Like,
this is amazing.
And they can't, they can't make everybody go through their billing platform in order to do stuff. What I don't understand, though, Michael, is why this happened to Google,
but not to Apple.
Because
that was my first thought too.
Well, I think that part of it was that Google was just a lot shadier. Like, during the trial, there was a lot of, like, they had a lot of stuff that they got during discovery showing that, like Apple's a little bit more just like Nintendo, where they're like real rule-following motherfuckers who make you sign a contract up front. But apparently Google was a little bit shadier with a lot of this stuff. And apparently they also didn't put up very much of a good defense to the judge.
Yeah, Apple's is so uniform because it's everything is them.
Yeah.
From top to bottom, it's all them.
Yeah.
Google, on the other hand, there's a lot of company hands in it, so there's an argument to be made that it shouldn't only involve Google stores.
Well, plus the fact that Apple makes the hardware that the software is running on.
Well, that's what I mean. For everything from top to bottom is Apple.
Yeah.
For Google, you got Samsung, you got fucking Huawei, whatever the fuck they were called before they lost their goddamn minds.
Yeah.
Like, all of these different companies make these phones. The Android platform is so much more the Wild West compared to Apple,
right?
That I can see that being the major decision difference in this case. It's still insane that it happened, but I can see that's the only thing I can think of as to why this happened.
Yeah, and they've got to do this for 3 years now. Of course, Google is immediately appealing the decision. I mean, of course they are.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Epic was pushing for this to be 5 years, but the judge said that, basically the whole 3-year thing, and then after 3 years, these rules are gone. This is basically the rationale here is that it gives other third-party developers a chance to break into the market, and you've got 3 years, right? And then after that, okay, now Google can go back to doing whatever the fuck they want to, but you have 3 years to then take a shot, you need
to prove to us that this is worth the idea.
Right. And then also one of the reasons I think that this might have happened is I looked up the judge, and he's like a California circuit court judge.
Wow. They probably had an in on that one.
Yeah, and I think that the Apple suit was in the Midwest or something like that. Somewhere where a California judge, they're just yeah, fuck the man, and everybody's like, woo.
Yeah, and the Midwest is capitalism, guys.
So
Reagan would be disappointed if we lost this case.
It is pretty amazing. One of the things that I read in this article was the Judge Donato said that Amazon apparently tried to put their own storefront on the Google phones, and they were unsuccessful. And they were like, if Amazon can't break into your ecosystem, okay, guys, okay.
Yeah, then something's gone crazy.
Yeah. So
I remember that Amazon one.
Yeah,
for a hot minute, and nobody used it.
So yeah, that's good news for us. Good news for everyone. I think. Let's see. Speaking of lawsuits. This is interesting. So Nintendo has been on a tear of lawsuits recently. The last week we got the news that Yuzu got shut down for a threat from Nintendo. Apparently there is a modder. This is a guy who runs an actual physical store that sells modded Switches, where Nintendo went to them with their standard, basically, you can shut down or we can sue you into oblivion. And the guy said, okay, sure, I'll shut down the store. And then, he just never did. And now he's, taking Nintendo to court by himself to be no, you know what? Go fuck yourself.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah.
The boldest strategy I've heard in a long time.
Well, so what the interesting thing is that there's let me see if I can find the quote. So here's here's a quote from the Nintendo lawsuit. And I'm starting to think that Nintendo might be getting a little bit out of control. Yeah. Here's a quote. Typically, when a customer purchases a hacked console or the circumvention devices, defendant pre-installs on console a portfolio of ready-to-play pirated games, including some of Nintendo's most popular titles, such as its Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, and Metroid games. And I don't know if that's yes, or like if this guy's an actual smart modder, you would never do that. You would mod the console, but you wouldn't install fucking Breath of the Wild on it when you sent it back to the person.
No, because that's like people do that, but it's usually it's usually like not Nintendo Switch stuff. It's those things you buy like at malls.
Right.
They're like, here's like 100 Nintendo games that like nobody can even buy anymore half the time.
Yeah.
Like those are the only reasons why that keeps getting away with that, because they're like, made in 1985 or something.
Yep.
But this would be like, you would just be taunting Nintendo at that point if you were stupid enough to do something like that.
Well, so I mean, like one of the reasons that Nintendo was able to shut down some of the emulators was because the subreddits for those emulators, like the official subreddits for those emulators, they actually had people on there. Like helping people get pirated shit to run, or they had instructions on their website about how to do stuff, and it was like that was the thing, because then you could point to like, this isn't just emulation, this is piracy, because you're helping people to steal stuff. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I do kind of wish that somebody would at least throw their body in front of the fucking corporate bus that is Nintendo to be like, y'all motherfuckers need to chill out and just, take a nap on your giant Scrooge McDuck pile of gold that you have at Nintendo headquarters, and like just chill out a little bit, you guys.
I just want him to show up dressed like an old simple country farmer. country Laura man. I may be just a simple country Laura modern man.
No, it's honest work, Your Honor, but I do it.
I do declare that this lawsuit is insane.
There is a question, though. I mean, it does bring up an interesting, goes into right to repair, right? Like, if you've got I bought a Nintendo, and I'm going to take it to some guy and pay him, and he's going to open it up and solder a bunch of fucking, like, mod shit on the inside and close it back up and give it back to me. Well, I bought that Nintendo. Like, Nintendo, you don't own that Nintendo. I can do whatever the fuck I want to with that Nintendo. Like, so it's an interesting question on the hardware side as opposed to the software side, because you could say, I am installing hardware onto hardware that is owned by a customer. That is not you are not allowed to get in the way of that.
Yeah, I've done nothing technically like there's nothing copyrighted that I messed with.
Right.
The closest thing is I voided your warranty.
Yes.
And that's not like suable.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I just don't understand why Nintendo doesn't do what, like, Sony had that huge problem with the PSP. You remember the original PS3? You could install Linux on it.
Yeah,
you could just install Linux if you wanted
just
to.
Installing insane shit. Well, the PS3 was a fucking crazy Frankenstein of nature that nobody understands how it works to this day.
Yeah, but like their method to move forward was to enhance the security, not to try to like sue the, like, once it was done, and okay, I guess we're fucked, right?
That's why every instruction at some point was like, was your PSP before X date,
right?
Kind of thing. So
does
at that
it have
point,
this firmware on it?
Yeah. So if you were trying to like install crazy shit onto it at that point, then you were getting shady.
Yeah.
But before that, it was like, what's done is done.
So I don't know why Nintendo can't just chill out a little bit and sleep on their giant pile of money. And give me some of their money. Give me some of your money, Nintendo.
Give us free stuff.
Yeah, come on, Nintendo. Give us free stuff. Let's see. From there, we have another lawsuit. Apparently, Ubisoft is getting sued.
I want to say for what, but because Ubisoft could get sued for anything.
So this is a weird one. Apparently, the Ubisoft store on the PC, the browser store on the PC, has Facebook's Pixel integration in it.
Oh.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Pixel is a plugin that you can run on a website that if a customer is logged into Facebook when they go to a different website, if they have the cookies to be logged into Facebook, basically that website will then just like send Facebook information about what you're doing, so they can target ads at you and fucking invade your privacy and fuck up your whole life, etc., etc. Delete your Facebook account. Just delete it right now. Why do you even need it? It's just AI slop. You don't even need it.
Yeah, a lot of you guys don't understand that a lot of that stuff. I worked for a website builder, and there was a lot of me helping people install those.
Yeah,
because it's actually like one of the more simple things to install, because there's a Google version of it as well.
Yep.
I don't remember the name of it anymore, but it's literally just like you get this piece of the thing, they add it to the header, and you now have the information of anybody who visits you at any point.
Yep. It's been going on for a long time. This is not a new thing.
It's not a new thing.
And yeah. Well, part of it is that Ubisoft does not disclose this to people who visit their website, and the information that is being sent back is apparently like just very, very, very detailed. It's like a really high amount of information. And so there's a few folks who are starting an initial lawsuit that they are hoping to spin up into a full class action against Ubisoft, saying like, yo, bro, you have to tell me if you are collecting you have to give me the option to not to opt out of this. Like, you can't just fucking shadow grab all my shit when I make a Ubisoft account and then send it back. You at least have to put a checkbox that says, yes, I allow Ubisoft to invade my personal space and take my pants, right?
Like, if people don't know, that was a fairly recent thing.
Yes.
You used to be able to just do this willy-nilly, which is why this probably happened. They probably installed this a decade ago and then nobody noticed.
It was an EU ruling. This is why you have all the things that ask about cookies when you go to a website. You have to accept all the cookies.
There's also a California law about it, too.
Yeah, which is good. I think that, like, in all honesty, I got to be careful about how far out of this shaky limb I go here, Michael. But, like, I really do think that there's a lot, like, just the concept of that pixel plugin on a website is like, I really wish that when you hear news stories about like we gotta do something about big tech, and I'm like, oh, you guys want to write laws about how Facebook can't just suck up my data from every website I go to? And they're like, no, we have to make sure that Reddit can't ban my mom for something. And I'm like, what about that one? That one's way more important than the other one.
We need kids to not use the TikToks,
right?
I guess, but like that's not what we should be doing to save the children's information.
Yeah, like last week there was a thing where California passed a law where if a video game has an online component that could possibly ever be taken offline, you have to now put a fucking sticker on the box that indicates that you do not own this, you are leasing it because the company could turn it off. And I'm like, I'm all for that. You know what rules? Steam's refund policy rules.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people, there are probably people out there, you're probably one of them, who do most of their like gaming on consoles. But you know what is awesome, especially for me, for running RageSelect, is that I can buy a game like Funko Fusion. I can play that game and go, this game sucks, and this is America, so you give me my fucking money back because this sucks.
and it's a shame that like most of the America doesn't have protective laws like that, or everybody else has a really strong laws for that sort of thing. Consumer laws.
I really think that a lot of the things that people bitch about when it comes to video games and just the way that they run, a lot of that could be solved if you were just allowed to return video games.
100%.
Because then when you buy fucking Cyberpunk 2077 from Best Buy and it runs like balls on your PS4, you can go back and go, I would like my money back. This is not acceptable.
It did not work out.
And then it would make companies have to be better at that shit instead of being like, yeah, we launched a broken game, we're going to fix it in 9 months. And it's like, no, you give me my money back now and I'll come back in 9 months and maybe spend it again.
Maybe I'll buy your game again. I'm not fucking doing this with you.
Anyway, sorry, that's my whole thing. It's been my whole thing for a long time. Speaking of Ubisoft, there are some rumblings. I don't know if you've heard about this. There's some rumblings that Ubisoft and Tencent might be looking at a financial deal to basically take the company private.
I did hear about this, actually, yeah.
And this would... I had a really hard time with this because there's Ubisoft, the company, which Tencent owns like a 20% stock in. And then there's like the Ubisoft, the Guillemot family holding group or something, which Tencent apparently owns a 50% stake in.
That is pretty amazing.
And so I think the idea here is that because Ubisoft's stock has just been on a free fall.
They keep fucking up.
To basically have Tencent come in and buy up the stock so that Ubisoft can make moves without being beholden to stockholders, because like, you know, if Star Wars Outlaws comes out and it doesn't fucking blow the roof off, then your stock takes a 30% hit because it didn't sell well on day one. Or you delay Assassin's Creed Shadows to next year and your stock takes a 25% hit because your investors are like, hey, I was going to get fucking money this year and now I'm not.
And there were rumblings about trying to hostile take over them at one point.
Yep. They did issue a response. It is some bullshit, but I will read it.
Okay.
Ubisoft has noted recent press speculation regarding potential interests around the company. It regularly reviews all its strategic options in the interest of its stakeholders and will inform the market if and when appropriate. The company reiterates that management is currently focused on executing its strategy centered on 2 core verticals: open world adventures and games as service native experiences. That is nothing. That is nothing.
That is nothing.
That is nothing. That is not a denial. That is not a confirmation. That is just like, hey, buddy, why are you even talking about this? Like, I'm just a simple video game developer trying to make a video game over here. I like to consider my options from time to time. I don't know what you guys are all weird about. Like,
don't be weird about this, guys. There's nothing going on over here. Ignore the exploding fireworks stand behind me.
Yes, exactly. Like this is just, it's like a nothing burger. It is a complete nothing burger.
I always love those press releases that are nothing.
Yeah,
because you're just like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Why did you even bother opening your mouth? Like, just
like
no
if anything, you've made me more suspicious.
Right. It's like when we'll see stories when companies will like strike YouTube videos that are like, there was a leak, and the next Assassin's Creed is going to be in space, and then it's like, Ubisoft took down all those videos, and they're like, "Well, is next Assassin's Creed gonna be in space?" Like, I can't discuss Assassin's Creed.
I've never heard of Assassin's Creed. Like,
I don't even know what that is. Who are you? How did you get in here? Thank you very much. Good day. So
it's just insane shit. It always cracks me up when that does happen because although some of my favorite leak that has ever happened to this day was super recent, which was the that Yakuza pirate thing.
Was that leaked?
It turns out months ago somebody on some random forum explained the entirety of the announcement, but it was so batshit insane that no one believed them at all.
Goro Majima has amnesia and he's going to be a pirate in Hawaii on like a clipper ship, and you're just like, what are you smoking?
Exactly.
Get the fuck away from me.
Like somebody posted it on Twitter, like it was like a full, almost like a paragraph of him explaining everything that got announced.
Yeah.
And everyone is like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No one, I want to know what you're smoking that made you make up that fantastical thing, because there's no way that thing is real.
I think the big question here though is, do we think that it's going to go through? Do you think Ubisoft will be taken private? And if so, is that a good thing? Because I do think that like investor pressure, especially for Ubisoft, especially because have I shown you the graph for Ubisoft stock?
No,
it's amazing.
I was going to say that I think it's, if any other company was doing this, I think it would be a great idea.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because Ubisoft has been known to not make good decisions in a very long time.
So
like, I don't remember the last time Ubisoft was like, oh my god, look at that fucking thing.
So this is their founding in like 2010, 2009. This is 2018. This is 2020, and this is right now.
Oh my god, that's like they're lower. They're slightly lower than their beginning.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're really taking a bath. Like
I think this is both a great and a terrible idea at the same time. The reason I say that is, again, because I feel like Ubisoft should be held accountable. To somebody
for being dick for like 5 years
now. They
now.
haven't done anything worth a damn in a very, very long time.
Now hold on. Immortals Phoenix Rising was really good. Okay, which is why I was ashamed that they canceled the sequel.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I mean.
Yes.
It was the first time Ubisoft did something, and they're like, nah, bro, let's fuck that up too.
Yeah,
you're like, what the fuck, guys? Like, you had something here, and you decided, nah, bro, and like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, everything they've done doesn't make any sense. I feel like it could happen. It can happen. Purely because of look at the price of that fucking stock.
Yeah, it could be a good thing in that they could get out from underneath the expectation of shareholders, which has been a big cancer in the video game industry, because shareholders want return. So if you're not making money, then you're garbage and you're worthless and you suck. On the other hand, at least when you have shareholders demanding that you make money, something happens. Like, you have to do something to try to make money, as opposed to just like, here's some more skins for Rainbow Six Siege, you guys.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
You remember that Rainbow Six fucking Left 4 Dead game that they put out? Nobody does anymore. It was called Pandemic.
Yeah, no, I remember now.
It was like Infection.
I had thought it was just my brain was telling me it was a side mission mode, but then I had forgotten it was a separate game.
Yep,
I completely forgot about that.
Totally came out. was on Game Pass, I think. Chris and I played it. It was weird. Let's see. Ooh, I need to go a little faster. Paradox had a kind of a weird interview that came out this week where they kind of talked about a few of their most recent fuck-ups. One of the things that they specifically said was that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 will be like the last one of these that they ever put out because it's been such a pain in the ass.
That makes sense.
And Paradox Interactive is like a strategy game company. Like they make like the Europa Universalis and shit like that. And they were like, yeah, we will make sure that this game comes out because we promised it. When we promised the game's going to come out, it comes out. So we're going to get this one out. And it's going to be good, goddammit. But we're never going to make another one ever again. Like, if somebody comes to us and they want to do the entire development, like, out of house away from us, fine. But we're never making another, like, action game RPG
shit is hard,
again.
guys. This shit is really hard.
Yeah. They also talked a little bit about the City Skylines 2 debacle, which I think I've mentioned this before, or I thought I read this before. It might have been for a different company. But apparently part of that game's problem was corporate infrastructure in that they didn't give them any low-end or super high-end QA machines. Really? And so it turns out that, like, you remember before it came out, those stories we had about the director being like, nobody needs 60 frames per second. 60 frames per second is for fucking babies.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, it turns out that they knew before it launched that it was not going to run very well on low-end hardware, or they thought it wasn't going to run very well on low-end hardware. But because they also didn't have bleeding-edge test systems, there were also problems that made it run like ass on high-end hardware.
That's amazing.
So it ran like ass kind of across the board.
Except for the middle ground thing they kind of knew would kind of work.
Which was kind of okay.
Yeah, a lot of kind ofs in the sentence, by the way. But the teeth, Jeff. The teeth have to be perfect.
Yes. They also basically said, and I think this is good to hear somebody say this out loud, where they were like, we knew it had problems, but we thought, like, at the end of the day, we'll launch it, and then we'll go through the QA once it launches and try to fix stuff. And the players will be fine with that. And the players were not fine with that.
They were not fine with it. It turns out it was not very chill, bro.
Yeah. Also, Prison Architect 2 that got completely just put on full hiatus.
Yeah. Because they were like, we got to make sure the shit works.
Yeah. Apparently, it just crashes all the fucking time. Like, it just doesn't work very well. And so they're like, fuck. And then the last thing they talked about was the cancellation of that Life by You, that Sims thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was canceled out of nowhere. And apparently, their response to that was like, it just was never good enough. Like, it just wasn't good enough to be a Sims competitor, even though apparently the developers of that game were like, we kept hitting milestones and submitting them, and they said, everything looks great. Everything is great. It looks great. And then just like, you're all fired. Get the fuck out of here.
It's always random when that sort of thing happens because no one really knows what happens at the end of the day.
Sounds like a real... Like, between this and, again, not to keep talking about it, but I'm listening to that Schreier book. Sounds like the video game industry is full of a lot of deeply unserious people that do not have their shit together.
Oh, I've met a lot of developers on accident over the years. Yeah, every single one of them are some of the most unserious people I've ever met in my life. But also, they have some of the most insane stories you'll ever hear in your life too.
I feel like I need to just get a new career where I just start going to work for video game companies about just like, all right, I'm gonna be. You guys have seen Muppet Babies? I'm the lady with the striped fucking legs. Okay, like, you guys got to take a nap, and I'm not letting this shit do. We're not doing this. We're not doing this bullshit.
The fun thing is that those people exist in actual gaming development.
Yeah,
and it's always funny when they have to call them in.
Right,
because that's some of the biggest games out there that were delayed for a long time.
Yep, that
eventually came out because that's exactly what happened.
It's a BioShock Infinite, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody came in and was like, "Get your shit together, guys. Take a nap."
Yep.
Coming out with the game.
Let's see. We got some interesting Silent Hill 2 news. A few things. These are fun stories for the most part. The first one was apparently when the Silent Hill 2 remake launched, it had to have an emergency patch right away because if you had... Okay, so I can't actually tell you the specifics of this because it's a big spoiler for the end of Silent Hill 2. But in Silent Hill 2, you pick up a radio, right? There's a radio that you get.
Wait, was it like a spoiler for the actual ending or like one of the weird endings? Okay.
Yes, a spoiler for the actual ending of the actual Silent Hill. Yeah, not one of the joke ones. So
there's a lot of different endings of that game.
You pick up a radio. The radio, it's a big thing. Actually, it's the first time, I'll say this, I've been playing that game. First time I've ever liked having a speaker in the controller because the radio static comes out of the controller.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like a radar for enemies as you know when they're near because your controller starts having static. When you first pick it up in the game, there's this like kind of garbled message. And then people went back and they realized that there was like a really like a voice on the radio underneath the static that says something that's very impactful to what happens at the end of the game, but it's obscured by a lot of static. There's no way anybody would be able to hear this outside of like putting it into a audio program and fucking with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out in the Italian version, they just subtitled that line.
Oh my god!
Like, just directly up into the thing. Have you played Silent Hill 2?
Not a long time. I did it years ago.
Do you mind if I'll show you what
you can show me? And
I'll
I
show
can look
you
at it real quick.
Yeah. So it's a voice of one of the characters, and it says that.
Oh my goodness! Holy shit!
And it's
that is a huge spoiler.
And it's just like
oh my god!
In the first like 15 minutes of the game, and you're just playing as Italy, you're like, what?
Yeah, if you were playing that and you never played Silent Hill, you're like, huh, I wonder what that means. And then you'll find out very quickly.
Yeah. And
you'll be like, oh, well, now I don't want to do this anymore.
So anyway, that's really funny.
That's fucking amazing. Holy shit. I love when stupid shit like that happens.
Yep.
Because it's like, why did no one... Because no one understands why it was a bad idea. They're like, I'm just translating something real quick.
Right.
Like, they had the script probably in front of them.
Localization team didn't know.
And they just were like... He's just like, well, it says this, so I'm just going to put it in there.
Right.
So the people know what it says.
Yeah.
Not understanding that's not the point of what's happening.
Yeah, that or like they got like they got the translation thing and it said like unintelligible or something, and they were like, wait, I hear what it says. Hold on, play it again.
No, they didn't put the static.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. Like
I know exactly what it says.
And then just wrote it down.
Just put a bibbity boppity, and then we're good.
Right.
And then they're just like, no, don't do that.
Don't do that. So yeah, apparently that had to happen. Let's see. So in the Silent Hill 2 HD remake,
I heard about this.
There was a really interesting thing. When you're walking to Silent Hill for the first time, there is the Silent Hill Ranch. And there's a big sign that says Silent Hill Ranch.
Yeah.
And when they did the horrible HD remake, that sign was written in Comic Sans.
Yeah, it's
like,
very infamous.
And it looked completely out of place and all stupid and janky.
It was so funny.
And so people were playing the new one, and they walked by the sign, and they were like, "Oh, the sign looks normal." I don't know. I'm kind of nostalgic. That's kind of sad. Well, some people have actually found out that if you no clip through the walls into the farmhouse. Into the Silent Hill Ranch.
Yeah.
On the floor, there is the sign with the Comic Sans Silent Hill Ranch.
I love that so
much,
guys. Like the fact that they knew somebody would look around, and they were like, "This is for you specifically, weirdo."
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yeah, which is great. It's great. Let's see, and then. This is less of a fun story. Oh, I don't really know. Okay. I'm going to say the facts as they are presented, and then we can make wild assumptions. Apparently, when the Silent Hill 2 remake came out, some folks decided that they didn't, or I don't know why they did this, but people went to the Wikipedia page and they edited all of the scores of the game to be like zeros and 1.5 and like 27 out of 100 Metacritic score, and like all these, like IGN gave it a 6 out of 10. I like the fact that they put like for Eurogamer and GameSpot and Games Radar it's like zeros and twos, but for IGN they had to make it believable, so it was only a 6 out of 10. VG 24/7 0 out of 10. Video Games Chronicles 0 out of 5. Like
that's so fucking stupid.
And I don't want to ascribe malice where there is none, but I do think that there was like a group of people online who were really wanting to hate this game.
Look, Jeff, the woke gamers hate woke games now,
right.
so they of course they gave it bad reviews or whatever,
right? But there's actually not really very much to hate in this game. Like,
there really isn't. That's my problem.
It's
with
pretty
this.
Good. Like
that's my problem, because there was one specific thing that people keep pointing to, and it's like a club sign.
Oh yeah,
and it's this woman, and she has her like, and you can see like the outline of her stomach.
Yeah,
and people are like, oh, they made it woke, and they're like, no, this is exactly what it looked like even when that game came out.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
And all you have done is proven that you've never played that game to begin with, because you guys don't understand that sign is the fucking one for one.
Oh really?
It was just so funny. No, yeah, because every time people keep posting it, they're like, no, that's just what it fucking looked like. Like, you guys are just insane.
These are all just like ways to buy that sign or buy the Heaven's Night sign.
What's that one a little higher up? There, and the fifth one there.
Oh, this.
Yeah, because that's I think the original version. I think that's
the remake. But
oh no, yeah, because if you find the original one, it is just that one.
What is this? Silent Hill 2 remake players angry over woke neon sign that was in the original.
Yeah, it's exactly.
I didn't realize. Do they have a picture of it in the original?
I don't know if they have the picture of it.
Okay, well, anyway,
it was in the original because I've seen it on Twitter because people have been posting them left side by side.
Yeah,
and they're the exact same thing.
Okay.
And so it's just really funny.
If all you've got to complain about is a neon sign, then like, that's fine.
There are other things they complain about are really dumb though. They're like, I just don't find the women fuckable. It's like, that's just a you problem, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little sensitive to the changing of the outfit for Maria.
Yeah, but it's not just them though.
Yeah.
Like they're like like every woman in this thing has to have giant tits and the smallest waist imaginable. I mean, guys, stop.
Like it's just her and then that teenage girl and then the nurses. Those are the only women in the game.
They keep pointing out the teenager. They're like, I want to be able to fuck that teenager. Like, you guys got to stop, dude.
Yeah.
You guys got to stop.
I can't imagine. Listen, I just can't imagine getting horny at anything in Silent Hill. That game's gross.
No, it's
gross and funky and weird.
The point of Silent Hill is it's a creepy place that you should not want to be.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, we gotta go quick. We only got 10 more minutes. Big new report came out about Roblox. This is from this thing called Hindenburg Research.
That's an interesting name.
Yes. Basically saying that like two big takeaways. One, Roblox apparently is completely and totally inflating its user numbers, its daily users, all of that stuff, and a lot of it seems to be because like they're like people will open up like 10 tabs that are all running Roblox, and they count as like 10 individual users type of stuff.
That's fucking weird.
But basically the report. Okay, so Roblox denies all this, but like the report says that Roblox basically has like cooked books for user engagement and revenue for their shareholders, and that the actual like they did their own independent research of like setting up data analysis firms and like tracking user accounts and stuff, and that it appeared that like the actual user base was like orders of magnitude lower than what they're reporting.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that is true, because Roblox is a huge phenomenon, but I don't know anyone that actually plays Roblox.
Yeah.
Like even actual kids of like friends' kids. I don't know anybody who actually plays that game.
The other one, and the one that's much more disturbing, is like apparently it's so easy to find like really explicit like pedophile groups on there. Like
I'm also not shocked by this.
Like groups, unfortunately, with huge amounts of people that are just like out in the open that and that will interact with, like if you make a new account and you go interact in certain places, you'll just get people like propositioning you as like, hi, I'm an adult, are you a child, I would like to assault you, like that kind of thing.
That's so gross.
Like, so
I can't even make a joke about that. This is really gross.
It is. It's fucking terrible. I think that Roblox is a real, like, I don't see any benefit to Roblox. It seems like just a really exploitative scumfuck thing.
Well, the benefit of Roblox originally was the fact that it's one of those games that's a Wild West that like you can just, it's kind of the way VR chat was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I can get away with like damn near anything. The problem is when you can get away with damn near anything, people push the limits of that to the point where it gets gross again.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why Roblox again, but honestly Roblox pretty early on got gross pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the paid stuff that you can buy in Roblox are made by these kids.
Yeah.
It's like
Second Life for babies.
It is. And it becomes this huge market where they're making money off of literally child labor.
Yeah.
And the kids make like a little bit off of it if they play their cards right, but for the most part, it's just the whole thing is gross.
Yeah, I really, again, I go back to what I was saying before of like, I think that if you want to investigate and or shut down like a video game that is harming children, it's this one. It's
Roblox.
The one that's explicitly doing it. Like not like I'm flashing back to the Jack Thompson era of just like the kids are playing Grand Theft Auto, and it's like, well, it's rated M. They shouldn't be playing it. You go fuck with the parents, not me. But like this is marketed to children.
Yeah,
like
this was like. Yeah, it's so weird.
And
like,
no adult fucks with
it.
it.
The first time I heard about Roblox, I thought it was like a Flash game, kind of thing, because it looked so bad and it looked so stupid, and there was all this shit. Not realizing that under that thing is the darkest thing going on in gaming right now, which is crazy to say with the amount of like weird games that are out there.
Obviously, the Roblox Corporation came out and said this is all lies. This is a way to depress the stock price because apparently that investment group, they do like short selling and stuff. So they're saying that like this is a way to smear Roblox so that they can do a short sale on it and make a bunch of money.
Look, guys, you can smear them in many, many different ways. You shouldn't have to go to these low points to do it.
Yeah, I think that Roblox is a thing where like in order to actually police Roblox, you would need to hire a shitload of people, and they don't want to hire a shitload of people. They want to cash paychecks.
Yeah. The only way to do it, and especially now, is you would have to start, not so much start from scratch, but you would have to wipe a lot of the slate clean.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Ooh, zipping.
Gotta get rid of old Detroit, Jeff. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, how about something better? We got another analysis of the video game industry that came out. This is from a survey from Media Research that basically says that about 53% of all gamers say, I only want to play single-player games. I only play single-player games. I am not interested in playing games that are online or multiplayer games.
That's such a great relief.
This was across the entire world. It's interesting here. This is the graph. You can see this teal line is single player, blue is online PvP, couch co-op is this lighter one, and then green is PvE, and these are age brackets. So you can see that like the older you get, like when you get up to the 55 plus, it's like 75% single player games. Like I'm just not interested. But the basically I want single player games just goes up over time, and the I want to play online goes down over time.
Well, the fun thing is that you can the easiest thing to do with this graph is the more responsibilities you're given,
right, the
less you want to deal with other people.
Yes.
Or also you just don't have the time.
Yes.
And then ironically enough, when you get past a certain point, you might have less duties, but there's a lot of people who just probably aren't even playing multiplayer games anymore among your friends.
Yeah.
So why would you even want to at that point?
Yep. But it's good to have this like actually mapped out in a graph where
this is great.
Like next time that some executive is like, nobody wants to play single player games, multiplayer games are where it's at. And it's like, I'm going to point once again. Let me point at the graph to say that's just not fucking true. No matter how much you guys want it to be true, and you want everybody to be playing the infinite money machine. I'd like to point at this graph for Tim Sweeney with his metaverse concept to be like, this is not what the majority of people. I mean, like, okay, I guess younger people, but like,
yeah, but all it does is prove that the reason why those games work are the free to play. The reason the ones that work are the free to play ones.
Yeah,
is because they're all children that don't have the money to buy the games to begin with.
Very true.
So
Very true.
like, and they're just using the cards from their parents to buy the many things.
Yep.
So if anything, just only make multiplayer games for children is what this graph is telling you.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently. Let's see. Speaking of single player games, Alien Isolation just celebrated its 10th anniversary and announced that they are working on a sequel.
I'm honestly shocked it took them this long, but I think that's purely because people, for some reason, didn't overlook that game.
I think it's because isn't the developer that made that the one that makes like the Total War series?
I don't remember.
It's Creative Assembly, which like. In fact, Total War. And I'm sure those Total War games make them a shitload of money without having to deal with, a first-person thing. Like they just get to crank those things out.
It is kind of crazy though, because it is known as one of the last and one of the few really good Alien games.
Yep. Oh, they were working on Hyenas as well. Remember that game?
That's right.
For
those
Sega.
Guys.
Yep.
But to show you how important important, but so much how popular that game is. The last movie that got made, the director was a giant fan of the game. That every time, if you watch the movie, guys, anytime something is about to happen, if you look around the set, you will see the emergency phone in the background, which in the game was used to save. And so he did it specifically because that's something that happens in the game a lot of times, is when shit's about to go down, there's a save point.
Okay. That's funny. But yeah, we don't really have any real information about like what it's going to be or when it's coming out. It's just starting development now. But
yeah, which is very exciting, especially with the way 3D audio and stuff is in games.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's going to be really exciting.
You play it on your giant TV.
Yeah.
In your house with all the lights turned out.
Scared
the
shitless.
5.1 3D surround sound.
It's going to be great, guys.
On your PlayStation 5 Pro.
I'm so excited. You have no idea.
Let's see. In other development news, Michael, is David? Are they making another Metal Gear game? David Hayter was on Twitter saying, "I was in the booth today playing a role I've not played since ... And then his next tweet was an animated GIF of Snake holding up his kniff to the camera.
Everybody's speculating as to what it means, and my favorite is the game sites using the wrong snake.
Using Big Boss?
No, they keep using Venom Snake, which is the one fucking snake he never voiced.
The Kiefer Snake?
Yeah, they're like, oh, he's coming back, and it's fucking Kiefer Snake. You're like, guys, come on. That's literally the only one outside of Solidus that he did not fucking voice. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I you know what? I'd be willing to almost put down money that I guarantee you this is not a new fucking Metal Gear game.
Oh, it's probably for a commercial or something.
It's either for Metal Gear Delta, it's for a commercial for Metal Gear Delta. It could be for the Metal Gear Collection Volume 2. You remember he did the whole
thing for that.
For that, so it could be back to doing that. This is also, I don't want to play a Metal Gear game that wasn't made by fucking Hideo Kojima. I'm sorry, I just don't want to. Like,
no, we've played Metal Gear games without him, and they're always completely different. There's either Revengeance or it's fucking that weird Survive game kind of thing. Like he has such a specific vision that the reason those Metal Gear games work is they all tie together correctly because of his vision. Yeah. The only way you can make a Metal Gear series again is you would have to start the whole thing from scratch.
You know what? I would be willing to play Metal Gear Revengeance 2. I would be willing to get Quentin Quire back in. And let's fucking call up the butt rock machine and let's
see those I would be fine with. Yeah.
I want Senator Armstrong. He's back from the dead. There's 100 of him now, and they do the Juggernaut bitch thing where he actually says, "My sources that I made it the fuck up."
I would love
to put that in the actual game.
I would love for that to be in the actual game. I still use that quote randomly.
Oh, it's so,
and it's not even from the game, by the way, guys.
It's like the style at the time. Right? It's like it's a perfect quote for so many things.
Funny. It keeps popping up on during this current election year.
Oh yeah,
so it's great.
And then last, before we go to trailers, so that Quiet Place game is coming out in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It's actually coming out in like 2 weeks. But we found out that it's going to be one of those hook up your microphone and then you actually have to be quiet while you're playing it, which I will not be doing because RageSelect is not about being quiet, no matter how much some people really want it to be. So
not only that, you'll be playing it and then somebody's going to start fucking doing the yard across.
There'll be a fucking Amber Alert on my phone. And fucking,
and they're just like, you're dead. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's going to be a whole thing.
I didn't do that. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. But when we come back, we got trailers. So everybody stick around. And we're back. And hey, you know what? Everything worked out really well because I had this trailer from before. I think it needed a little bit more pomp and circumstance than to be at the end of a segment where we were already rushing through stuff. People, our prayers have been answered.
After what?
So long.
12 years or something like that?
Red Dead Redemption is coming to the PlayStation, the PC. God damn it, I messed it up.
That's right.
The PC, personal computer. It's already on the PlayStation. October 29th, Red Dead Redemption 1 and Undead Nightmare are both coming to the PC. They've all been up-resed, but not in that bad way like GTA was.
Yeah.
What's kind of strange about it is like apparently I was reading the specs on it and they have like DLSS and NVIDIA Reflex, and I'm like, why would you need that?
That is
My computer
interesting.
should be able to run like a fucking 10 series RTX card should be able to run Red Dead Redemption at 300 frames per second in 8K at this point. Like,
They must have done something to it. I don't know.
yeah, but they put out a little trailer. It's funny because I don't know if you watch this trailer, but this trailer is like pretending to be the My Name is John Marsden trailer.
Oh, okay.
But they just have slightly different scenes for each thing.
That's kind of fun.
And I only know that because I've watched that trailer so many fucking times that every beat of it is in my head.
Oh, it's one of the best trailers ever made for a game.
And I kind of wish that they had just like redid it in 4K.
That would have been a better idea, but they probably didn't know exactly how the scenes to do it correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. I could have done it. They should have let me do it. Anyway, I should have sent them my my Undead Nightmare teaser trailer that I made for RageSelect that I showed at the fucking RTX and been like, let me do it. God damn it. I get drunk and watch that trailer all the time.
It's such a good trailer, guys. Look it up whenever you get a chance.
But yeah, Red Dead Redemption finally on PC. That's great. That's great.
I can't wait.
That's great
to see what modders do to Red Dead Redemption 1.
I
can't wait to what you, the viewers, do to Red Dead Redemption 1 if you find yourself modding it.
What I really hope they do is basically just rip every single asset out of Red Dead Redemption 2 and then just redo the entire game with the assets of Red Dead Redemption 2, because there is a John Marsden and there are all the towns and there are horses and there are cowboys and there's Bill Williamson and fucking...
You can do pretty much the entirety, and because Red Dead Redemption 2 already has all those locations up-res, like super hardcore.
And because they have the online, I'm sure that you could use that to do character creation to make character models that were close to the people you don't have, like fucking
that's true,
Lando and the Gravedigger guy and all those guys. So I it's great that this is coming out. I wonder why the fuck it took them for so goddamn long.
I generally don't understand it. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 came out on the PSC first.
Yeah. So
what the fuck, guys?
But yeah, that's happening, and Gary Marzipan is back, baby. And let me just say right now, we are not starting all of the playthroughs over from the beginning.
No, we will not do that. But you guys can HD remake those if you want.
Yeah, you can go through and like 1-to-1 the footage and like recreate the footage on your own, and then like just put our track over it.
Yeah.
Put the audio track over it.
You guys will have fun with it.
October 29th. Good stuff.
Everyone knows the true cocaine princesses will do it.
Let's see. Oh, this is a quick story that I wanted to throw in here. Nintendo has a quote unquote like secret project that they're working on.
Interesting.
It's like it's a new feature, and you can apply to it. You have to have Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack, and then basically there's going to be some kind of software, and they put out like a thing saying first come, first serve, go online, sign up for this. Apparently this filled up in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And we don't know what it is, but we probably will soon when some joker breaks the NDA and just says what it is.
I saw people on Twitter be like, "Yeah, I tried, but it denied me real fast."
Yeah, by the time I saw this news story and clicked the button to sign up, it was like, oh, no.
I looked at it and it was completely done by the point.
So, let's see. In other Nintendo news, we don't have the Switch 2 announcement, but you can buy a Nintendo alarm clock, Michael.
It's got just a terrible fucking name.
The Alarmo?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That's a great name.
Alarmo.
Nintendo Alarmo.
My favorite was that image from The Simpsons. It was like, we name something like, I don't know, like Poochie or something, and work on that. So
Yeah.
the name's Poochie, right? And so they just did that with Alarmo. Like, so it's Alarmo, right?
So this is a really weird alarm clock. It basically starts playing like music from one of the Nintendo games. It's got a Splatoon, it's got a Mario, it's got a Zelda, it's got Pikmin, and then like I don't know if you watch this whole thing, but like when it starts going off, like if it's doing the Mario thing, and then it has this huge motion tracker in it that looks out the front. So if it starts going off and then you start moving around, it starts making like coin noises, or like it starts making noises based on where you're moving.
That's interesting.
And then when you like sit up, it makes a different noise. And then when you like stand all the way up, it makes like a really triumphant noise depending on the game you've picked. And then it turns the alarm off because it sees that you've stood up. But apparently, if you snooze it, it gets increasingly more aggressive. And the way they showed that was apparently like if you snooze the Mario thing for too long, it starts to get louder, and then Bowser starts yelling at you. And I'm like,
goodness.
And so it has a big LED screen on the front, and it does all this crazy stuff, and all that's fine. It is $100, which is a little much.
For what it has technology-wise, I could see why that would be it.
Yeah.
But it's still too much for an alarm clock.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because if this came out, say, before cell phones had alarm clocks on them,
yeah,
then sure. Because I can just take my current alarm and put the Super Mario Brothers theme on it if I wanted to. Sure, it won't do all the other stuff, but I won't feel like I wasted my money on it.
So the thing about this is I actually bought a physical alarm clock because my alarms on my phone, Sleep Jeff knows how to like snooze those without even really waking up. So I needed something I had to stand up to work with. The problem is that like if they had a $30 version of this thing that didn't have the motion tracking in it, I would probably buy it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If it's a normal, a super affordable alarm clock, then I don't see a reason not to get one.
Yeah.
But for $100, I would just buy a Mario game.
Not only that, but you also have to. You can only currently buy it through the Nintendo store, so it's not even like a retail thing.
Oh yeah, they'll probably stay like that for as well.
Maybe
and
at
you
one
probably
point
have to sign in and everything for it.
There'll be like a $20. It'll be $20 at Walmart on clearance or something, and I'll buy one. But I don't know. It's kind of an interesting idea. The one thing that I thought was really interesting was apparently like each game has multiple themes, and one of the ones from Zelda, from Breath of the Wild, is the point at the very beginning when Princess Zelda says, "Wake up." And I'm like, oh, that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
Oh, and it has a Ring Fit Adventure.
What a weird one to put in there.
Theme, yeah. It's very strange, but
I like how it's like the characters holding the ring still.
yeah. Well, every one of them, it's just like they like walk around randomly on top of the time, but it's a cool little thing. It's a little pricey for. I'm not,
It's too much for a novelty alarm. Like you said, you can just buy a normal alarm, like an actual physical alarm clock for fairly cheap nowadays.
For like $10.
Yeah.
Like the one I bought was just a USB powered, and it had a battery backup, and it was $10.
Yeah.
So
just insane.
Let's see from there. Black Ops 6 is, I think it might be in early access already or close to it, but they put out a couple videos for that. One was the story so far that goes over the whole crazy ass Black Ops story, from like, it goes from like 1 to.
I didn't realize that they were still supposed to connect.
Well, they have the same characters, right? It's Frank Woods is in all of them or whatever.
Yeah, but I always forget that they remembered that.
Yeah,
because some of the games will be like, well, this is clearly not in the same thing of this kind of thing.
Well, and then what's weird about it is that like at the end of it, like the most modern stuff before the 90s stuff apparently is the flashback to Cuba at the beginning of Black Ops 2.
Interesting.
I think that was from Black Ops 2, where you kill the guy, and then I don't know. It might have been a different game. Might have been a different game.
That's the thing.
But yeah, it does go over the whole crazy ass story, which Black Ops has a crazy ass story.
It does. That's the reason why Black Ops was the more interesting one to me.
Yeah. To get the band back together for Black Ops 6, which also had a launch trailer, which. Looks pretty decent. I don't know. Call of Duty is one of those things that I've kind of gotten less excited about over time.
Well, they've made it difficult to be excited about their story modes when it's clear they don't care about their story modes.
Yeah, well, I don't know. See, the story mode for this one is kind of interesting, but then because I like the way that the Black Ops is a little bit more of like a bombastic action movie, whereas the Modern Warfare stuff is very serious.
Yes, that's true.
So I might give this one a shot, but the last few, like even the Cold War, Black Ops Cold War, I just kind of got bored of. It was like this Robert Redford looking motherfucker with the scars on his face telling me to go to like a Berlin nightclub, and I'm like, when do I get to shoot guys? So
yeah, I don't know. Like they keep wanting to try to make these really interesting things, but I don't know what it is where they just only barely get it some interest, and then they just fail every time. I don't know. I really don't get it.
Yeah,
but hopefully it is good because again, Black Ops to me was one of the more interesting versions of Call of Duty.
I'm still waiting for Infinite Warfare 2. That's when I.
Maybe it'll come out one of these days.
Never coming out.
We'll bring back Kevin Spacey and everything.
No.
Wait, which one was he in?
Oh wait.
Was he Infinite or Advanced?
Was that Advanced? That was Advanced.
I think it might have been
Infinite
Advanced.
was one that had Jon Snow, where you flew the planes into space. He had space aircraft carriers.
That's right. I forgot about that.
With the Halo robots and
that
shit.
should get a sequel, to be honest.
I like that game, but apparently it was one of the worst selling ones they ever had.
Which is the reason they've never done it again.
Yep. We got a cinematic teaser for Fortnite's big Halloween event, Fortnitemares, coming. This is a pretty fun little teaser where it's a bunch of kind of horror themed icons cutting up pumpkins, and most of them are just like mangled messes from Leatherface and like the fucking Jigsaw.
And then Mephisto's there for some reason.
Yeah, and then there's just like a witch lady that did one that was not just a giant hole in the face of a pumpkin. So
the saw one makes me laugh, not just because of him being a full person, but the fact that he has a saw as his weapon.
Right.
And my favorite was seeing that Simpsons meme where it's like the saw from Saw. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll obviously find out more about that later. Wait, did they have they put the Incredibles in Fortnite, right?
They did, but they just got off of this shop not that long ago.
Is it the machine gun? So you have Mr. Incredible with a giant machine gun?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
People bought it purely for Mrs. Incredible so they could do as many suggestive dances as possible.
Sure. Well, no, that was my second question was like, I know that Fortnite has a bad reputation about nerfing asses. Like they murdered Snake's ass.
You can't. The problem is if you nerf her ass, then she just doesn't look like her character.
Sure.
So they couldn't do it.
Okay.
So she has an ass that will not quit. And so every clip I've seen is a group of them doing that one where they like move their ass back and forth, and just like a shit ton of them, and a bunch of people behind them using the emotes where they're sitting down or they're making it rain behind them.
Who would have thought that like 3 seconds of animation in this one movie would have just fucked this character up on the internet forever
and ever, guys.
Well, speaking of movies, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero opening cinematic trailer came out. I mostly just put this in here so you had a reason to talk about Dragon Ball Sparking
I'm very
Zero.
happy with it.
I realized when I was watching this trailer that everybody in Dragon Ball apparently makes the exact same face all the time, or at least they have the exact same angry eyeballs all the time.
A lot of them just yell
when they're fighting.
What's great about this trailer is it is a series of just like there are like Easter eggs in the movements that they do during the fights.
Like there's like iconic matchups and
there's iconic matches, but there's straight up attacks that they do that are like, oh, this is this specific attack from this thing.
Yeah,
but sometimes it's not the same character. Like there's a point where Jiren, the alien looking guy, is fighting the big buff guy Brawly.
Yeah,
and he does this one specific like set of attacks that is in that Brawly movie, but Goku is the one who did it.
Oh,
kind of thing. And then there's some other stuff that like when Goku's fighting Jiren, it's the exact same like motions here and there. So like this, that's Butt specifically.
Okay, and
like, but it's really fun, and it's like I always love these little trailers because they're just like watching a bunch of people fight each other.
Yeah,
and they use what's interesting is that they use just straight up use the theme song from one of the animes.
Oh,
instead of using an original song.
Okay,
so I was really happy with that.
I gotta be honest, like notoriously on record as not being like the biggest fan of Dragon Ball in the world, but I will say that like as an arena fighter, man, the cell shading on this has come so far.
100%.
Like it looks so good.
When everybody says arena fighters, Dragon Ball is the arena fighter.
Yeah, like
every Dragon Ball Z actual arena fighter is like the reason arena fighters are like a thing.
Okay, and
I don't mean that as in like as a bad thing. I mean it's that like it has the depth that you want for most of those that the others don't.
Okay,
because they put a lot of work into it.
Okay.
Even certain attacks have Easter eggs in the ways they like override other attacks. It's crazy as shit how much depth is in this fucking game.
I was just thinking to myself, I need a buzzer to be like,
sorry.
Okay, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, we can move on. Sorry,
because we're gonna do full dojos next week.
I keep getting excited about it.
No. I'm happy that you're excited, but we got to save something for the dojos that are happening next week.
Yeah.
So. y'all are gonna have to watch as I play the tutorial for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and Michael attempts not to chew off his own arm at the same time.
It'll be very interesting because a lot of people are having trouble with the story mode.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Let's see from there. This is really crazy. We got you remember that Unknown 9 game?
I vaguely remember that.
It's like the weird, like kind of Indian themed. It's like World War II, and you're taking over people's bodies.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that being, that was really interesting.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
It's October 10th is the day that we're recording this. The game comes out on the 17th.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I didn't even put it on the schedule, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to try to fit it in.
How did that happen? I only remember one trailer about this game.
No, there were a few. But they put out, apparently they used their marketing budget to create, like, a music video with a song, like an original song.
Oh, that's fun.
To it. And so these are all the lyrics to the song as it's playing. But what I think is really interesting is, Michael, if you look at this trailer, I don't know, you tell me whether you think this is the case or not. I was watching this trailer and I was like, you know what? Like, this looks like a much better looking game than what I feel like I've seen of this game. Like the screenshots are obviously in the in-game engine, but the lighting engine seems like it's like way better than the last few times that I saw this game. Like all the character models seem like sharper.
It looks great. Like I remember the first few trailers we saw were like, this looks okay, but we didn't know anything about what was going on.
Yeah.
Like we were more interested in how different its story stuff was than anything else. But looking at this version of it, they put a lot of work into the presentation of it compared to what it was before.
And I'm wondering, I mean, it's obviously the engine. I don't think they would be dumb enough to like touch up the gameplay in a way that was different than what we're going to get when we get the game. Maybe it's just running on a really high-end PC or something, but it's interesting because this actually makes me more excited. I was like, I wish you guys had put this out a little while before because this makes me much more excited for the actual game. And so yeah, I don't know. Hopefully find a place to take a look at this at some point. You know what I'm really doing? I'm just waiting to see what kind of reviews it gets. Like, if it's a mediocre game, I probably won't like put it in a RageSelect slot. But like, if it gets really good reviews, I would love to check it out.
I'm very hopeful because it reminds me of the type of games we used to get during the PS2 era. Yeah, just like weird little adventure games with very unique.
Kind of all like Ubisoft games.
Yeah, actually, if this would have been made like, say, 15 years ago, this probably would have been a Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
Like Ubisoft used to make these all the time.
Yeah, kind of original concept.
It's kind of how Assassin's Creed came to be, basically.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm sorry, October 18th.
Still, though, that's fucking super close.
Yep, right around the corner. Let's see. Beat Saber's getting some new music.
Oh, that's fun.
It's Britney, bitch. And I the thing is that I saw this and then I was like, oh, right. Like, I'm not really a big Britney Spears fan. And then I watched this and they knew what they were doing because this is the demonstration that they're doing that Michael can't hear because I've got the sound turned down is to Toxic, which is probably the best song to play Beat Saber to.
One of her best songs, yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm not the biggest Britney fan in the world, but like Toxic is a banger.
Oh, there's a lot of songs of her that are legitimately like every time I was like, I wasn't that big of a fan of Britney. I hear one of her songs again. I'm like, oh wait, no, her music actually was really good. I was just kind of weird.
Drunk Jeff really likes the one with will.i.am, but like sober Jeff is not a big fan of that.
The one that I love the most was it's the one that Jack Black did recently for Kung Fu Panda 4. Oh, what the fuck was it?
I don't know.
I can't remember what it's called right off the top of my head, which is insane because I listen to it all the fucking time lately because it's so catchy.
Yeah.
But, sorry, if you guys will remember, whoever's listening is yelling at me right now exactly which one it is.
Let's see. Kung Fu Panda.
Because it is like it is a cover of Britney Spears
Panda 4 song cover. Was it
Hit me, baby, one more time.
Oh, I was like,
that song is really good.
You didn't remember that one?
Yeah, the problem,
like their biggest hit.
That was the thing is like because I knew it was like in the lyric, but for some reason my brain just couldn't come up with it.
Okay,
but I know I listen to that song a lot actually, like her version and Jack Black's version, and the mashup ones people make.
Let's see. From there, we got the expansion reveal for the next Sims which is the Life and Death expansion pack.
I can't believe there's so many expansions to this thing.
Normally, I don't cover the Sims expansion packs here because there's just so many of them, right? And they come out all the time. This one's really weird, though, for a couple of reasons. One is this one is like you can haunt people as a ghost, like in the afterlife.
That's interesting.
And you can like commune with the other side, but then it also has a whole bunch of funeral content where you can have like a funeral for your Sims that die, and people will come to pay their respects, and like you can get a new job as Death, as a Reaper, like where you work for the Grim Reaper, and I'm like, what?
Okay, guys, you guys can't see this trailer as we were watching this, but something happened that almost made me burst into laughter.
Yeah.
So during this trailer, you see the death of one of the Sims.
Yeah.
And it's this like really kind of tragic moment of the widow Sims being like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then it has this happy fucking logo of like Life and Death expansion.
Right.
Like it's just like really dark. Holy shit.
So yeah, they go through this, and it looks like you could romance a ghost. You can fuck a ghost.
Yeah, the widow is
a ghost.
Fucking a ghost, and it's not her husband's ghost, by the way.
No, oh no, that was like her father, I think, in this story.
Was it her father? I don't
believe
know.
So. He was a lot older, and there's like
I couldn't tell.
Whole idea that they have like an inheritance. Also, they put the fucking Wednesday dance in.
Of course they did.
In here for this. Here's the being the Reaper. But there's also another reason why this trailer is really weird, and Michael, you can't hear it, is they have a song that's playing in the background that's all in Simlish.
Oh my god.
And I recognized it, and I looked it up, and it's from this band called The Last Dinner Party, and it's called Nothing Matters.
Oh my god.
And like it's this like
and
real
they made a Simlish version of it?
They made a Simlish version of it. It's this real emo song, and like one of the lyrics to this song is like, and then I'll fuck you like nothing matters. And like it's really weird because I was listening to the song and I was like, I've heard this song and it has the word fuck in it. My brain remembers things that have the word fuck in it. And then I went and looked it up, and I was like, oh, right. This is like what was that movie? This is like a fucking Saltburn music video with there's all these weirds, like these girls and they're singing and they're being emo and they're having feelings and shit. And then they've got the Sims 4 trailer where they've got a Simlish cover of this song that sounds like it's being sung by the lady that sings the actual song.
So weird.
And I'm like, so you guys can go look it up for yourself.
I kind of love that though.
Last Dinner Party, Nothing Matters, and the Life and Death expansion for The Sims 4. So
that's so funny.
Let's see. We got the release trailer for Parcel Core. We didn't have a lot of trailers this week, you guys.
Yeah, if you're bringing out Parcel Core.
Yeah. I don't know. This looks pretty cool. It's like one of those like kind of jet grind, like, or it's like a delivery race, kind of a crazy taxi thing, but you're like a bicycle messenger.
I feel like there was a game similar to this at one point, but I don't remember what it was.
And it's all cell shaded, and it looks pretty cool. And I think it got pretty good reviews too. So
I'm not surprised because it does look really cool because you're not just like going down the roads. You're doing like a fucking wall, not runs because you're on a bike.
Yeah,
but you're like, going on the walls and like skipping and doing
bike
flips
parkour,
and shit. A lot of insane shit.
Yeah,
but like you said, the crazy taxiness of it makes it look really fun.
And it's got a nice kind of cell shaded style with these kind of crazy characters.
Yeah.
And apparently there's like a bunch of different areas that you can go to, and it's like cops that'll try to stop you and stuff. So yeah, go check it out.
There's like a real deep plot to it too.
Looks pretty fun. Let's see. From there, we got this. This is pretty fun to me. Neighbors Suburban Warfare.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's just like a weird multiplayer
this
game
looks fun.
where you play as a bunch of like cartoon neighbors. They're just trying to fuck up each other's houses, and then at the same time you're trying to like protect your house from the other people and like kill them. And apparently there's like rounds where you can set up traps and like fortifications and stuff in between. And it's just got a really fun style to
it. This actually just looks like a lot of fun in general.
Yeah, kind of like Home Alone, except you've got like suburban grandmas and shit, and you're like knocking people out and blowing people up.
The art style really sells a lot of it too.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of like Hello Neighbor, but wacky.
Yeah,
but like wackier.
Like a fun time instead of like, what is the dark story behind this thing that isn't actually all that interesting as it turns out.
Yeah, he's like the devil, I think, or something. But
my favorite is seeing people always screenshot of this. It's like the developer constantly trying to get the game theory guy to be like, I'm sure he'll love this, and they're like, he never fucking does it. They keep trying to get it, and it's so sad.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we got the launch trailer for the new Kingdom 2 Crowns game, which is Call of Olympus. So it's like one of those Kingdoms games where it's like the little 2D thing where you create your kind of little society. It's like kind of a management game, but this one's all Roman themed. So, or Greek themed, I guess.
I guess really, it looks kind
Olympus is Greek. Yes.
Yeah.
So
the Greeks.
Ancient Greece, yeah, looks pretty cool. Like they put a lot of money into it. I guess I just have to wonder, like, do these make money? This is like the 8th one of these things that they fucking put out. They put out like a Game of Thrones one and an 80s one.
It
and
must not cost them a lot based on how simple, or not simple, but like it's not like overly 3D or something.
Yeah,
like it's a lot of work, of course, but it looks,
it's got a nice art style.
The budget is clearly like not as much as it would be if it was like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a map overview, because it's all side by side.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's definitely
it's like a top-down or isometric view.
So good for them.
Yep. Here's a strange one. We got a trailer for a game called Hawthorne, which is basically like, what if Animal Crossing was actual animals?
Interesting.
So it's like a kind of like an Unreal Engine game where you play as like a little rat or whatever, and you're like trying to make a dinner party for your friends in this kind of Skyrim-esque looking world, but like, you're a rat that's dragging like pumpkins around and like building tables, and it's all very realistic looking.
Yeah, the funniest part is everything is like the size of a normal thing.
Yeah.
So they're just giant tables and barrels compared to you as the size.
Yeah.
So it makes it even weirder that you are the ones making these things.
They show a little part where they're like the rat is like riding on the back of an owl to like catch fish or something, like
That's
right on the back of a bird. This is a very strange looking game. I just love the way that the tiny little rat is just dragging shit all over the place.
Yeah, it's the presentation of the fact that he lives in, because it's not like watching. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of like stories that were designed to be like, these are animals that are anthropomorphic and have their own houses and stuff, but they're all the size of them.
Right.
Where this is like, what if all those guys were doing that, but they were just here like across the street, but they still made people-sized tables and shit for like no reason.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. Why?
Very strange. Very strange.
Weird. It doesn't make any sense even from the story standpoint of it.
Yeah. But I think it looks pretty fun, so keep an eye on it. Let's see. From there, Michael, they made a new Chicken Police.
Oh, my God.
There's Chicken Police 2, Chicken Police, Into the Hive.
That's amazing.
Pretty sure you and I play the original Chicken Police?
We did, a very long time ago.
Yeah, so this is, for anybody who doesn't know, a very strange game where you play as photorealistic cutouts of people, but they all have animal heads glued on.
Yeah.
And then you play as like a cop in like a noir mystery. And it's very weird, but somehow I feel like it's got like a very high production value for what it is.
They put a lot of work into it, which is why I was so surprised by it.
Yeah. I was just like, I was looking through the trailers and I was like, they made another Chicken Police game. I didn't know the first one made enough money for you to be able to be a studio still, let alone
never would have guessed that this was their next game.
A second Chicken Police game.
My God.
So
good for them, to be honest.
Yeah. Chicken Police Into the Hive, and it's coming out November 7th.
Oh my
God.
God.
Right around the corner. Get ready, Michael. We've got new Chicken Police. Let's see. Speaking of really strange shit, we got the reveal trailer for Pathologic 3.
Oh, interesting.
So I didn't know this, but I had to look it up. Pathologic 1, you get to choose from one of 3 characters: the Bachelor, the Haruspex, or the one other. And then you would go through the game, and it was this very dour, very grindy, very difficult game.
Yeah.
Apparently, Pathologic 2, you just played as the Haruspex. Like, you didn't have a choice, so it was like a retelling of the game from one character's perspective that was expanded. And this one is the same, where it's the same game, but you can only play as the Bachelor character, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess they got tired of having to redo it every time.
Yeah, well, I think it's just an idea of like expanding it, right? Wait. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So they're just it seems like they took the original game and they're basically just expanding it, putting it out. I think this was a Kickstarter that was kickstarted, which does not surprise me considering
it is not.
People like Pathologic quite a bit. I think the last one was on Game Pass, to be honest.
If I remember correctly, yeah. And I think, didn't we? I could have sworn we did it, but or we thought about it. I don't remember.
I thought I played it with Amanda, but I'm not entirely sure.
I know at one point we talked about it, and we talked about how fucking depressing it was.
Yeah. Because for anybody who's never played it, the whole thing with Pathologic is you're in a town that is being destroyed by a plague.
Yeah.
And you have to choose kind of what you want to do, but like every choice means that you can't do other things, and so it's a real kind of like grinding death by 1,000 cuts. But I do think I remember from people that have played the first one that the Bachelor character is the easiest character to play.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
because the thing was it based like what you could and couldn't do on who you were in that first one.
Yes. So no release date or anything on that yet, but it has been announced. So let's see. Like I said, weird trailers this week because there wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah.
We got one called Massacre at the Mirage. That's like a one of these kind of like super indie horror games where you're at a theater, and then like this weird. It's basically just like Terrifier, but with a like Art the Clown, but with like a jester hat on.
It's a jestery looking one.
That's coming at you. I don't know, the character.
He straight up looks like him too, by the way.
Well, it's because
like just looks like his face.
Real black and white, and he's got a real big grin on his face, so he really does look a lot like Art the Clown.
Well, there's the nose too, because he has that very specific.
Oh, the like long
pointy nose. Yeah. But Joker's has that too, so it's not like unheard of.
Yeah. I only mention this because it's coming out October 28th, so if you're looking for something spooky, it actually turns out that this year everybody got their fucking horror games in a row.
Oh, finally.
Because like that, the first of that Blumhouse games comes out like the 22nd. I was looking for stuff for the Asylum, and I was like, oh shit, I have more than I can handle here. Like my cup doth runneth over.
We had to muster some weird shit last time.
Yeah. But this time, no way. Speaking of which, we also got the release date for Amanda the Adventurer 2.
Oh, yeah.
Which was recently announced. And this one looks like it takes place at a library instead of in an attic.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't remember, Amanda the Adventurer is a game where you interact with a little, like a badly rendered little CGI girl named Amanda, who is like trapped in a kind of early 90s edutainment tape.
Yeah.
But then there's also like all kinds of weird horror shit going on at the same time. You can go back and watch Amanda and I play Amanda the Adventurer. I didn't ever beat it though. Maybe I need to go back and beat it. But yeah, it got a full release date of is it like the 22nd of October?
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Like there's so many fucking horror games and horror themed games coming out this month that I'm like, I'm gonna have to move some of these to the dojo because there's like 9.
There's quite a few,
and I don't have room for all of them. So let's see. We also got the early access release date trailer for Dark Hours, another horror game that I'm kind of curious about. This is a Lethal Company style game.
Oh, that's fun.
Where you play as a series of burglars who try to burgle like a monster house and then get locked in and have to survive the night by doing stuff. So it's an interesting concept. I don't have much out of the gameplay outside of that little teaser.
No.
But I also didn't catch the actual release date. Did you see what it was?
I forgot. I saw it for a second, but I wasn't sure.
24th. There you go. Boom. Early access. So many things.
Yeah.
We also got the early access trailer for the PlayStation for a game called Off the Grid. This has been so this isn't normally something that I would talk about on the show, but it's because it's very strange. It is a battle royale game that's set in the near future. In order to be in this battle royale, Michael, you have to let this organization cut off your arms and legs and replace them with bionic arms and legs before you can do the battle royale. And then once that's happened, you have to go through like rehab.
What the fuck?
And then you could be in the battle royale where you get to shoot at people with your cyborg parts. Apparently, Neil Blomkamp did the story or something for this game.
That sounds like him. Everything you explained to me sounded like him so fast.
And this trailer was so much more of a cinematic than it was a gameplay trailer that I was like, interesting. And then I went to the comments. It's turns out this has been in early access on the PC for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
And that it's pretty good because the developers are pretty good about listening to feedback. So
what a crazy idea.
Yeah, coming to PS5. And it looks really good, right?
It does,
the graphics are very nice on it. So, and also the rating has everything.
Yeah, holy shit.
Blood, crude humor, use of drugs, sexual themes, strong violence, intense violence, nudity, user interact, and in-game purchases. So,
what a crazy thing.
The whole 9 yards.
Oh boy.
And then last but not least, when it comes to trailers, we got a full trailer for Goat Simulator Remastered, which looks fantastic. The original Goat Simulator had a big glow up, and for anybody who doesn't know, you've Goat Simulator and Goat Simulator 3. There was no Goat Simulator 2 because Goat Simulator 1 had 4 huge DLCs expansions.
Yeah, it was a massive game.
There was a Mass Effect 1. There was a crime one.
Wasn't there a multiverse one?
I think that's in the third one. The third one had the multiverse.
Oh, okay. Sorry, there was a lot of them. That's the problem. They all started to blend together after a while. Right?
So, the fact that this is going to have all of the Goat Simulator DLC, if you've never played the game before, it's amazing, and you should totally play it because it's silly, and you don't have to. You can just fucking go fuck around with the Goat Simulator.
Yeah.
So.
It was the thing that started all the weird simulator games you've ever played.
Yeah.
Purely started because of this fucking game.
Also, November 7th is when that's coming out.
Okay. It's not too far
Goat
away.
Simulator is going up against the big boys this year.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, fuck you, Goat Simulator Remastered.
It's got a standing chance.
Let's see. And then in other Goat Simulator news, the current Goat Simulator 3, is actually taking the strange step of getting a backwards compatible port. So
I've seen so many games do that recently, and it's so weird every time it happens.
Yeah, the last one I think was Jedi Survivor. Came out November of 2022, but they actually made PS4 and Xbox One's versions of it, and they will be out on October 24th.
That's so interesting. But that's the one that wouldn't be too difficult to port.
Yeah. There was a lot. I mean, I don't know. Goat Simulator 3 had a lot of detail, but also, yeah, I could see where it's not going to be the hardest thing in the world to port. So, but yeah, look out for that. Goat Simulator 3 also amazing.
Yes.
We got the PlayStation Plus catalog for October, which is mostly Dead Island 2 and 2 Point Campus, as well as the Dark Pictures anthology Devil and Me. But the cool thing is the backwards compatible stuff is Dino Crisis and Siren.
Oh, nice.
So you can get some of the spookiness back in your gaming. So
hell yeah.
Also, Michael, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed.
Yes.
So, but you already own that.
Yeah, so. I own it pretty hard.
Let's see. The other thing the other one to note is Sifu is now on Game Pass.
Oh, that's fun.
So if you never played Sifu before, you can now check it out if you have Xbox Game Pass.
Now's the best time because they've updated the fuck out of it. It's got an easy mode and everything.
Yep. John started playing it, and I was like, oh, wow, that sounds like it would be great to start from now after all those big content updates.
Yeah, there's so much in it now.
Yep. In other games that I love, the Case of the Golden Idol is getting a definitive edition update on Steam that's adding a bunch of new localizations as well as readability and save game improvements, a new hint system. The UI is getting overhauled, and a bunch of quality of life things. So no new content, but just the whole thing is getting smoothed into a package to make it a lot more accessible, which is good because everybody should go play it because I believe it's November 17th is when the sequel to Golden Idol comes out as well.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, big November this year, you guys. Big November. Let's see. We also found out, unfortunately, this is bad news, Sony is pulling Little Big Planet 3 from the PlayStation Store. We actually knew this was going to be happening a little while back, mostly because hackers have been fucking with that game for a long time, and I don't think they want to they want to be able to ban people without people buying a new copy and then coming into it. So October 31st, you have until October 31st to buy it. You can still download it after that, but you'll be unable to buy it or any of its DLC after October 31st.
There's a ton of it too.
Yep. And then let's see, before we get into the fun stuff, we got the announcement that they're making a new Avatar RPG, and it's being made by Saber Interactive, who just got done with Warhammer Space Marine 2. So
okay, oh geez.
Yeah. Hopefully, I feel like Avatar is another one of those properties where it's like, can we get some good games for this beloved franchise? And they're like, no, only shit. You can only get shit games. So,
and you'll like it. It's like, okay, no, I don't want to.
what if it's just a Space Marine but with Aang's head on the top?
That would be so fucking funny.
We did it. We did it. Took 5 minutes. Wasn't any problem at all. So, and then let's finish up with some fun stuff. Let's see. I'm going to cut that because we're almost out of time. First up, I didn't know about this, but this is pretty cool. Apparently, Helldivers 2, there's like a fan of Helldivers 2. Let me make sure I get this right. GoMan is a YouTuber who does a channel called GoMan's Galactic Frontline News, who basically just kind of makes like fake news from the Helldivers
that's fun.
universe, and he's got a very like newscaster voice, so he just does it's kind of like watching the like would you like to know more thing. So he does like game capture, and he talks about the brave soldiers of Super Earth have managed to complete this week's major order on blah 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 to push back those heathen robots type of thing. So
that's fucking fun.
it's pretty fun. Yeah, I watched one of them and it was pretty cool. So check that out. Let's see. Michael, did you see this? That John St. John is on TikTok?
Oh, that's fun.
And is now apparently just saying, like, you could kind of just ask him to say whatever. And so he's basically just doing a lot of, like, Duke Nukem and Big the Cat voices.
He's the nicest fucking human being.
Yeah. So basically just, like, people are putting in... there's like shake hands with danger, and he just says that. The ones from the news story that I found out about this that I thought were pretty good was this guy eats corn the long way. So
oh my God.
imagine that in the Duke Nukem voice. It's just like, this guy eats corn the wrong way, and
straight jorking it.
I'm straight jorking it.
Oh my God.
It was pretty fun too.
If you guys are curious, I did get him to endorse RageSelect at one point, so that was fun. Yeah. I don't know if I still have that somewhere.
Yeah, so apparently I'm not on TikTok, but apparently John St. John's TikTok is where you need to go, especially if you're a fan of Duke Nukem. Apparently there's also like he's got a Duke Nukem puppet.
He does, yeah.
Called the Duppet.
There were times where on
stuff.
Twitter he would kind of do what he's doing now, but like he would just use that as what he would be saying.
Yeah.
And it was always like Duke Nukem says like this or something, and it'd be like the little puppet.
Yep. So
it's really fun.
It's basically just the whole thing of like he's just on TikTok doing Duke Nukem voice, the end. And then also apparently every like 10th video he has to say, yes, I was the voice of Big the Cat. That is correct.
Yeah.
So
People always forget that he was Big the Cat at one point.
Yep.
What I found out recently is there's this really bad Avengers fighting game that we made a long time ago.
Yeah.
Turns out he did all the male voices for it.
All right. Fair enough.
So I never heard that until now.
Let's see. There's some cheap Tekken figures out there if you want them on Hotuk deals. Of course, I don't even know if I should be talking about this. This fucking website has like a CAPTCHA.
Yeah, I love that it's like, are you sure that you want to look at this? Because this might be kind of insane.
Yeah. It's from a UK website where it's like they've got a king and they've got a Jin Kazama, and they're both like 15 pounds, and they're just little like action figures.
They're nice looking, at least.
Like 6-inch figures. Yeah. So that's all right. But you know what? I think the best thing to go out on is we had some Silent Hill 2 news. Michael, somebody has been doing the Lord's work. You put out a Silent Hill 2 game on the PC. The mods are already at it. You know, they've added like traditional James Sunderland and all those types of things that people want. But they've also, one crazy ass motherfucker has added a mod called the Sunny Hills mod, where they just took out all the fog and then made it daytime. And
it just looks like a nice hangout.
Yeah, it just looks like a kind of a cool place to hang out next to the park, as opposed to being very ominous. I kind of want to do a full playthrough of this game, but just with this mod enabled.
The funniest thing about Silent Hill that a lot of people don't, because I always when people don't play Silent Hill games, they're always like, "Why is Silent Hill a thing?"
Yeah.
Like, why would anybody go? It's like because to normal people, Silent Hill is just that.
Yeah.
A super sunny. Hey, this seems like a kind of nice place. Like, I don't remember which game. I think was it this game where it's like that was their honeymoon spot was Silent Hill.
Yeah. Well, it's unclear about whether.
Well, one of them like explicitly tells you like that was
Mary
where
says,
it was.
at the beginning of the game, Mary says, "Come to this town that we loved so much," and James is like, "We've never fucking been to this town. I don't know what you're talking about." But she's been dead for 3 years, and so he goes anyway. But yes,
like it is lore explicitly said at some point that Silent Hill just looks like a normal ass city to normal people.
I'm not entirely sure about that because I think in Silent Hill 1 and 3, the cult that's trying to like rebirth their gods is still in Silent Hill, and it's still like the foggy Silent Hill. That's like the regular Silent Hill is still the foggy Silent Hill,
okay.
but then
I don't know, it varies.
But I don't know.
I don't know. I've always heard that was, but I've always heard that like depending on what game it is, depends on what that's going on with Silent Hill.
The Silent Hill lore is all
it's all over the place. Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's the show.
Yeah,
we're done. Michael, do you want to tell them where they can find you? Get out over here. Help me run down the news.
You can find me on oneofus.net. We do a lot of movie, television reviews. I haven't done one in a while, but there should be some new reviews coming up soon. The latest one that I know that they came out with that I might listen to later is for Saturday night. So,
the Saturday Night Live. Yeah. And hey, if you like the podcast and you want to see it keep going, patreon.com/RageSelect is a great way to help this website continue to stay in business. It is the primary way that we fund this motherfucker. So, if you have $5 to spare, I would appreciate it. So, and with that, we now must end because my voice is starting to go out. So have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.